Hey, welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. That's it. That's the whole introduction. This week it's a draft tomorrow. Drop your questions in the comments. Drop your comments in the questions. Do that too if you like. And no, we're just going to talk about some rookies, I guess, and how little interest we have in all of them. Not really.
I miss that music so much.
Yeah, your all's job tonight is to get me excited because honestly, I'm no longer excited about rookies. We're talking about them for too long. I'm kind of done. I feel like we should move on to next year.
I've got my 2023 list already. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Bijan Robinson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jordan Addison, Keyshawn Butte. Like, we can roll it. No,
I don't know who they are. Let me go get the data, and we'll start tomorrow and just talk those guys.
All right, bye everybody. Good night. We'll see you later. No, excited for the draft because now it actually means something. Like having that draft before the NFL draft, so I told my friends I was starting a league, a dynasty league, so they can be integrated into a little bit more of the dynasty community, like playing in a league that isn't just with people we know, because 99% of the people we know don't care nearly as much as we do. And then without telling them, I made it that the rookie draft is before the NFL draft because it's just something I've always wanted in a league. And I'm like, well, this isn't a trade addicts league, so I could do this now. And it's so effing interesting to me. Like, I love it. Like, it's, first of all, another layer of watching the draft. Like, okay, cool. Like, Breece Hall, you're going to be happy anyway. Garrett Wilson, you're probably going to be happy anyway. But, like, Sky Moore is going to be so interesting. Justin Ross, I traded up into the 206 to take Justin Ross for the pure reason of I missed out on Sky Moore, so I traded up. I'm like, no, I'm taking my guy. I'm not risking it. And then he's going to go in the 7th, and I'm going to cry because I wasted the 206. And because, so...
Actually, there are a whole bunch of guys in this class that I only get really interested in if they're taken in the 7th. I'm like, I don't want to have to give things that are good for them. I'm like, I'm interested if I don't cost nothing.
For you, it's better for them to be UDFAs anyway. That's your jam.
Yeah, right. G Money was actually in here before we started, and we started late, so that makes sense. He wants to know what he should add to CMC and Zeke for the 101, and AJ Dillon. And I just got to say, I don't like this trade, top to bottom. Don't do this trade. I'm glad they rejected this trade. I wouldn't trade CMC for the 101. I might trade Zeke for the 101, and I'd have to add to it. But I wouldn't do this trade. This is the wrong direction of a trade for me. No.
Especially is there going to be that much of a difference in value even next year? Like after this season, let's pretend CMC misses 2 games. What a normal running back is going to miss. Like, he doesn't miss the season. He doesn't play the entire thing. And he's probably not going to be 2 years ago CMC again. So
probably is.
If the team is smart, they don't let him because they'll want him for more than just this season. They'll want to get good. We said that for a while. They just don't, which is great for us. They're just going to keep giving him the ball every chance, and as long as he's healthy, it's going to be great. But even that, if CMC is CMC, what's going to be the difference between CMC and Breece Hall? Because 10-team Superflex, Breece Hall is 1,000% the 101. In a 12-team Superflex, I'll listen to an argument between Hall and Willis. But in 10-team, it's not the quarterback at all because the quarterback isn't good enough.
I think that'd be fair.
So CMC and Zeke for the 101 and AJ, you're getting a lot younger, but that's a lot.
If it was a Superflex and your team sucks, sure. Go get a quarterback, but I'm expecting a quarterback. I'm not expecting a great quarterback, and it's just because my team sucks, and that probably has more long-term value. What would you offer for the 101 in a Superflex in a 10-team? That's probably an easy way of asking it, because if he's rejected this, a CMC trade's just kind of off the books for me. I'd rather keep him.
Well, CMC and Zeke for the 101 and AJ Dillon. Like, I could see a world where someone says they're Zeke and AJ Dillon are even. Or sadly,
I don't want to be in that
might
world.
prefer AJ Dillon at this point just because of the age.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I could see it just because of the way the world is now so much lower on Zeke. So, man, like if you have the 101 over Christian McCaffrey, like I don't like running backs. I've never wanted Christian McCaffrey on my team. In a 10-team Superflex league, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey over the 101. And that's me saying that.
See, I'm not that excited about the 101 in the Superflex because I think the right pick is the quarterback. So, like, I'm not. But what is it worth generically? 3 first-round picks. There you go. Generically worth 3 first-round picks.
So instead of attacking the 101, because it's got that 101, the big stigma, do you think you could G Money, or maybe it's worth exploring, seeing what you can do with like Zeke for the 102 or 103? Because in a super flex, you're probably going to end up with Malik Willis in those top 2 picks, even though it's 10 team, which means that if one of these other players, so Kenneth Walker, for example, who we have questions about his receiving ability, but if he lands somewhere where they're going to give him a bulk of carries, he could be interesting. Your top 2 receivers are going to be interesting. Is that something I would be a lot less hesitant to part with Zeke for an upper mid first than I would McCaffrey and Zeke for the 101 and Dillon and then have to add to McCaffrey and Zeke.
I threw it into the trade analyzer and it's like dead freaking even.
That's crazy to me. But it's the points versus youth again.
And it's whether you lean points versus maybe a boat. And Hall probably is a boat. But here's the answer to your question, G. Maroney. If you want that trade, I don't mind going and getting Hall. Go get your guy. I get it. It's a 10 team, so you definitely can take the running back at 101 and even in a super flex league. You add your 2023 first. Don't whine about, what little could I add here? No, just give him your first. Stop trying to nickel and dime him. If that's what you want, throw the first into the deal. Or ask him if I give him my first next year, would it do it?
I'm not adding a 23 first.
You had a second. He's just going to reject it. You're going to end up at the first. And if he's of a certain kind, then sending him a second first is just going to make him like disinterested in the trade to begin with. Just add your first if that's a trade you want. And the reason, and if you don't like it, then you're in the same boat I am. Like the first will change his mind. That's what you're looking for. What changes his mind?
The first will change his mind.
The second probably won't. So that's where you're at, and that's kind of why I hate this.
And adding a second in a good draft class should be enough.
I mean, ask for the second if you want, but I've turned more people off by trying to get it as cheap as possible. If you really believe in the move, that's how you get it done.
But there's also a point where it's you just walk away. It's okay. Like you don't have to make every trade.
I would walk away, but that's what I think you need to do to get it done. Yeah. Our house says you can probably get away with offering the second, so by all means try it. You can try the third if you want, but I think the first is where it's going to be like, oh yeah, definitely, I'm completely safe here, and they'll like the trade. But that was the first half hour on that one question.
Before we have Michael Carter ask us a question, Michael, are the Jets actually trading for Debo? I want inside information. I want it now. I want to know.
I want it all.
All right, Peter. Now you can give Michael.
Should we wait or no? Good. Michael has an offer. I'm competing in a 10-team Superflex. A lot of 10-team Superflex leagues too. Getting Jacobs in the 208 for Akers. I want to accept having difficulty sending away Akers.
Do it now.
I do it. Similar range of outcomes. Jacobs is a little more certain, I would say, of ending in the top 12, and you're getting a second. Why not?
The ceiling of Akers is so much higher, but I don't think
so.
I think it takes a lot for him to be able to reach that. Like, I mean, there's a world where Akers walks in and he's a workhorse for the Rams next year. It's not a likely outcome.
There is a world where the Raiders start to target one of the best receiving backs we've seen drafted from the NFL in the last recent years.
There's also
it's not going to happen though.
Sony Michel. Why would they target Sony Michel?
There's also
it was the only other guy I could think of that didn't get targets when he came in as a receiving back.
Where the Raiders are going to score a lot more this year than they ever have, and we live in that world.
Yeah, this is a classic. Get the player with a tarnished hype or whatever it is, who's pretty much worth the same thing as Akers is and has a similar range of outcomes, and you get in a second. Why not?
Yeah, value-wise, they're pretty. Yeah, exactly. Like whichever side that pick was on, I would take that side.
Yeah, that's awesome. Akers is young, got the hype, just maybe superhuman the way he recovered. To be fair, he may be superhuman. I'll give him that.
In a 10-team super flex, for context, that 208 could be somebody like Sky Moore. It could be somebody like Brian Robinson. It could be somebody like David Bell. I know I fixed my face to say that, but I'm seeing him fall. It could be Trey McBride, who, if this is a tight end premium, that could be a nice pick. So that you're adding potentially a nice lottery ticket to Josh Jacobs, who I think is going to outscore Akers anyway for the next couple of years.
Hope that helps, Michael, and can't wait for the answer on the Jets. Sean, what is Dobbins' dynasty value? 1 QB, is he worth a 104? Well, obviously you can look it up in ADP, you can look it up in the trade calculator, so I think he's saying, are we vastly different than what he would be worth in those things? I don't think so. I'm fine on Dobbins. I think he's good. I think he's very good. He's in a limited situation.
Yeah.
I think he's worth a 104. It's fine. Yeah.
Like, I would rather have Brees. I would rather have Garrett Wilson and Treylon Burks, just because that's me.
And probably another running back after the draft would be pretty equal with him. So, I mean,
If Spiller or Walker need to go to a very fitting place for them, for me to say I want one of them to over Dobbins. I mean, I get it. Ravens don't.
That's what I mean. It's probably going to be pretty. It's probably going to be pretty neck and neck. As long as they get decent landing spot.
I mean, give me the guy coming off an injury that we've seen do well in the league. And I mean, personally, I love Dobbins, so I would put him above those two. They landed in a decent spot.
Got a bit of a man crush on Dobbins. I remember that.
I do.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh.
It makes sense. Perfectly understandable crush. Has Russ frozen, or is he really angry? Benjamin,
I was scratching my shoulder, and then the name came up, and that was just very close to my cousin's name, and I froze for a second. I'm like, Ben, you're watching? Nope, that is Ben Siegel. No, that's not the right name. So I froze. My computer did not freeze.
Benjamin wants to know if he sends the 205 for Davis Mills in a Superflex league. Yeah, I would trade a second for probably a starting quarterback next year.
Yep.
Easily, yes.
Michael Carter would love to hear some strategy for 10-team Superflex leagues. You just want studs. Prioritize upsides. That's it. If they can't hit the upside, honestly, you can fit them. More so. You can play more that way. Like Russ was just saying, I'd rather take Breece Hall over the quarterback one, where we have pretty good expectations for the running back one in this draft class, and kind of lukewarm to I don't know feelings for the quarterback class. You just take the running back.
So you're giving a not fair example in here by saying you had these players, but your quarterbacks were Baker, Lance, and Mac, and then he had Allen and Herbert. That's right. My screen isn't big enough to show the ends of the spectrum that is. The less teams you have, the less important quarterback really gets, because there's less of a positional advantage. And it's
but
always
if you have
awesome to have
top 5 quarterbacks, yeah.
It's always awesome to have the QB1 and the QB4. That's great, but it's less important in a 10 team than it is in a 12, especially than it is in a 14. So no, I mean, it was, you need to upgrade your quarterbacks. You do. Well, maybe not this year if Lance plays. Having Lance and Mac would probably be great heading in if Lance does play. But I wouldn't. That's not a fair comparison for either of you.
I think a better way of getting one of those top 5 quarterbacks for you with a draft pick in this class is going to be adding Breece Hall to a quarterback to go get one of those top 5 quarterbacks. Whereas one of these quarterbacks plus Malik Willis, even if he is what we think he is this year, is probably going to be harder to move up to that top tier because they're going to be thinking the same thing. 2 middling quarterbacks is not as good as 1 top 5 quarterback. So they would find it harder to do unless they were short. So, that's kind of... I can hear my own voice. Who's listening to us while we stream? Come on, what is this amateur hour? Stop it.
I think it's you, Peter. I don't hear your own voice.
Yeah, it's probably me. Anyway, but that's where I'm at, Michael. And I don't really have any large strategy other than you can prioritize upside a little more.
Depth is not nearly as important the less teams you get as well. So just get your starting lineup in there, have one guy on your bench, and call it a day.
That's not to say, you draft your running back 2 when there's, a top 12 wide receiver on the board or something. But it means you're not interested in top 24 players anymore. You just want top 12 players, more so. Joel A, might as well hit the button while you're waiting.
Yeah, hit that like button right now. Hit it before.
Oh, yeah, there's a like button.
Hit it tomorrow. Just to make it an even amount of time, because it probably undoes it the second time you hit it.
More times than not, Michael, the best strategy in Superflex is nailing down at least one stud. Yeah. Honestly, back to the quarterback thing. Having 1 top 5 quarterback is better than having a top 12 quarterback and a top 15 quarterback. It's just studs really make a difference, and they definitely do the smaller the league size. So I think that's just general Superflex stuff. Try and stack up QBs. Actually, more and more, I try and go to the onesie positions because everyone tends to focus wide receiver and running back. And so if I'm finding a league tough, I'll try and stack up tight end even because some of them have more value than others. George Kittle, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts. If you can get that, then you suddenly have this value that eventually someone figures out is worth it. It's about zigging when others zag, but I don't know. So far, it hasn't worked. Didn't win that league, but there you go. John Lay wasn't a startup and went Mahomes, then Russell Wilson in the second. Yeah, that works.
Yep.
I really can't hear myself. Generally, in the way my ranks work, and I do Superflex ranks for DLF, that's where my ranks live, so I have to pay attention to quarterback. I want those top 5 guys, and there are about 4 I value as top 5 guys, those difference-making quarterbacks. And then I tend to skip everyone else until we get into that second tier, and I triple tap them. That's the other way you can go about it. You either take a million high-ranking ones, or try and get one of those early guys, or then you just get a wealth of depth when everyone else is taking their favorite 6th, 7th, 8th round wide receiver and running back. That's me. Happy Draftmas Eve. That's fair. Russ! Yeah, I know. I was going to do a big thing about welcome Russ back. We finally got someone who people, has energy and is friendly and nice, and that will even us out. And I just forgot. It was a hat. I took it off. I'm back. Sean, what's Akers' value in picks? I mean, about the same as Dobbins, right?
Yeah.
104, 105.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the 104 worth in generic picks, though? Just first-round picks? Because with this draft class, we can just say a specific pick. But if it's just first-round picks, I'd say it's 2, right? Just if you're dealing with generic picks.
He's probably He's probably like a first and a second for me.
Ooh, okay. So that's about what the 104, 105 is worth.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You have to pay for a level of hype on Akers that you don't for Dobbins, I think. So he probably is worth more at this point. But yeah, I think, do I want to give more than the 104? No. But would I add a second to it?
Yes. Yeah, that's actually, that's the way I was going to go. Because what's the second,
At that point, yeah.
Just most of my roster.
A lot of seconds.
Second round players.
I haven't had a second round pick for It's been since like 2016 that I've actually like had my own second round pick. It's wild.
Steven wants to know who we have ranked 106 in the Superflex. It's interesting. I was actually trying to start to put my first draft board together, and since I know nothing about these quarterbacks till they're drafted, apart from Malik Willis, because no one will shut up about Malik Willis. Don't know why that came out so angry, but I'm tired of hearing about Malik Willis. And 6 came out Isaiah Spiller.
That's high. Okay. I love, hey, super small sample size alert. The one draft we had already. I mean, let's. It's going to be very different because we don't have landing spots. But the top 6 were Breece Hall, he who shall not be named, Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker, Treylon Burks, George Pickens.
No, it's not that I'm sick of even the content or the name. I'm not sick of Malik Willis. I'm sick of only knowing that quarterback. Like, like I've given up on quarterback so much.
Up the name so it upsets you more. I care about you.
But Peter, that like this quarterback class is so thin that
that's what I mean. There's no point in me learning it until I know which ones might matter, and it's just.
I mean, that's the one. That'll be it. That's the one.
We had a decent run at the end of the first where Pickett went 109, Corral went 111, and you're a jerk and took Howell at 112.
That's fair.
And then Spiller went, 201, 113, whatever you want to call it. There's no reason to know anyone until they land somewhere. Because if they all get drafted in the 4th, who cares about them?
And that's the thing, Stephen. Like, we can tell you who we have ranked at 106, but it's going to change tomorrow or Friday. Like, it will. It probably will.
I think it would have to be something very weird for me to, again, personally move off of Hall, Lord Voldemort, Wilson, and Burks as my top 4. Like, those are like my guys.
Yep. Willis, Hall, Burks, Wilson.
I'm not the biggest fan of everyone's last name starts with W, so I keep getting like choked up on which name I'm about to say. Like, Walker is the running back 2 at the moment, but like I'm not thrilled about him. Like, maybe he'll land somewhere great, and I'll just be like, okay, now I care a little bit more. And Burks didn't go somewhere very good, so maybe like that tiebreaker will push it, but I really just think those are my 4.
I keep hearing people say maybe they'll land somewhere great. Where are the great landing spots right now?
Spots. I know.
Like Seattle, maybe?
That's the only answer. I mean, Walker is that, like, that he fits that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, no one will ever be.
Like Buffalo, maybe?
Marshawn Lynch was so damn good. Like, if you've been playing for that long, you remember Seattle passing to the running back. But that's just because it was Marshawn frickin' Lynch. No other running back in Seattle runs wheel routes. It was just him.
Yeah.
Like, Chris Carson probably could, but they never did it.
No, but they threw enough to Chris Carson to make him good.
Like, he was
for
just
fantasy.
Good.
He was good.
Yeah. What? Did we upset you, Peter?
No. Never. No, I'm just, again, bored. It's like, yeah, we know what it is. He hasn't caught passes in college. He's less likely to catch passes in the NFL because of it, because they draft players to do what they do. But there's literally no talent left. And he's actually a pretty good talent at least one thing. And so at some point, I just take the talented player. I'm just going to bet on that guy who's very, very good at something, who's probably going to get drafted pretty high in the NFL. And at 6, I'm pretty much out of any other player that has that.
Like, exactly. Yeah.
By 6, definitely. I'm done with that.
I'm with you. Yes, at 6, I'm completely with you. That I would take Walker if he was there, but for him,
we're talking about
guys I like more.
I had Walker and then Spiller back to back. That's the last 2 at running back that I'm pretty confident in terms of excelling at least something at the running back position. And the wide receiver is just so deep. I've got no way to separate them out, so I only got a couple I can really promote over that. But I mean, that's just how I came up with it in like 5 minutes. How far does Deebo Samuel's value drop if he went to the Jets? He didn't say drop, but I'm assuming he means drop. I've got Deebo Samuel ranked as wide receiver 9. I'm actually 4 spots below the average for rankers in Superflex, positional rank-wise. So I guess he would fall to about where I have him. I was going back through it because Twitter said my next video should be on players I would sell. And so I was looking for players I'm lower at. And I'm lower on a bunch of guys I thought I liked. Like AJ Brown, everyone has him ranked a lot, like 4 spots higher than I did. Same with Debo, 4 spots higher. Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, everyone's much higher
but I mean,
than me, apparently.
April ADP. I mean, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp, and then comes Debo. Yep. He moves to the Jets. Do you put Jalen Waddle above Debo?
I don't.
I can tell you who I have. I have Jalen Waddle ahead of him. I have Tyreek Hill ahead of him. Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, as well as Justin Jefferson. And
I looking at the list here, like Jalen Waddle, would I put him above Debo? I mean, what? Maybe because of age,
Dynasty,
I guess. Yeah. Like that would be the only real reason.
Debo's already 26. He's going to be a 27-year-old Jet next year. If he doesn't ball out, yeah, you want Waddle. I think in Dynasty that just wins it.
But if he doesn't ball out is the crux of that. And if Debo is as good as we think Debo is, go look at what Braxton Berrios did with the Jets the last 2 weeks of the season. I mean,
the Jets are a trash organization.
That's fair, but the whole concept around him leaving is because he doesn't want to do that role anymore, supposedly.
He doesn't have to, but he doesn't have to be a running back.
It would be a worse team, but it's mostly just it's added risk. A player who is unhappy and is moving around because of unhappiness is risk, and I'm a scared little low T nerd. That's what it is.
No, I mean, like he moves a little bit, but like I'm not as scared of Debo on the.
I think top 12 wide receiver easily.
His perceived value drops more than his production value. I think to me,
I'm worried more about that part of it.
Anybody wearing Kelly Green's perceived value goes way down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Put Patrick Mahomes in that green just for fun on a weekend, and he's going to take a dip. It just happens. Kevin Grant, why are you keeping and moving out of these running backs? Swift, CMC, Barclay, Carter, Ramondre.
All right. You need to tier this a little better.
Yeah. Welcome, Gavin. Also, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say I was moving out of it. No, you're good. Things I don't like about him. Swift is valued as if he has a larger ceiling than he does. He is young. He is good. He is a top 4 dynasty running back, but people expect it because he has a higher ceiling, and I will sell that higher ceiling to anyone fooled by that. And so that's why. I mean, I want full value, otherwise I'm keeping him. But that's the reason I move on. CMC, because if my team sucked, like there's a lot of risk in CMC. Like we we're just saying about Debo, he has to come back and do what he's done before, or we're running out of time to ever get that kind of value back from him. And we need the points at this point. And in Dynasty, that's a little risky. Barclay, I think it's the same as CMC, but a little more sure. He's younger. His injury history is less scary to people. I don't care. But other people do, so his value is a little more certain. Michael Carter, he doesn't have a top 12 upside for me, in my opinion. And therefore, he's a top 24 running back. And all of those are pretty much overvalued. I can get a top 24 running back in the top 36 pretty consistently, so I don't care. So I'll sell it. Ramondre, I don't have a good reason to sell Ramondre right now. His value's fine. There's some expectation, but not a lot. And I think he can be Michael Carter in terms of production at lower prices. So I can't think of a good reason to trade him unless you thoroughly suck and someone's paying overvalue. There you go.
Yeah, the only guy there I keep is Saquon because he's the one guy who I think his value has fallen too far and you won't get what you deserve for what Saquon can be. In which case you hold on to Saquon. You can move Swift because he shouldn't be RB3 or 4, but he is. CMC, I'm with you with all the whole risk thing. I love Michael Carter. There's a good chance he gets replaced in the next few days. And Ramondre, like you said, whatever, man. Like what's the point of taking a third?
Yeah, exactly. Might as well just see what
on the Patriots. So if Damian Harris gets hurt again, you might have a flex play.
Yeah, and to your point, good question. If you're aware of the fact that any player can be traded or traded for, it's about the trade, right? And those were my answers when or if I would move on from them. I'd rather keep CMC and Barkley and Swift. But there are reasons and moments that I would trade them. So
and with Swift, the way where you would move off from Swift is if you could get Najee Harris or Jonathan Taylor. It's if you can get Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
I was going to say Josh Jacobs. I'm going to the Josh Jacobs tier.
I'm
that low in
range,
first,
and you can get so much more on top of Jacobs. You know what I mean? If the value's even, not just.
If you can pull 23 firsts out of that downgrade, oh yeah.
Yep, exactly, that kind of thing. And only then, Swift is good. He's fine, but
he's a
people are buying him a lot.
He's the type of back that I like because he is a pass catcher, and in an offense that is going to have to throw the ball because their team is going to be behind. Like, I like that, but he is still overvalued because people are expecting him to be Christian McCaffrey of 2 or 3 years ago, Alvin Kamara of 2 or 3 years ago, and he hasn't been.
He hasn't played full seasons either.
I tend not to fault guys for that if I can help it, because you just don't like. I don't know. Injury prone to me is less of a thing than it is to other people. But
it depends on the kind of injuries, I guess. But like missing a game is okay. Like every running back is going to miss a game or two. But like Swift missed chunks of games a lot.
I mean, so did McCaffrey and Barclay. Right.
Well, I'm out on McCaffrey, but and it's probably freaking Har's fault that I'm still in on Barclay. It's not my fault anymore.
But those two, you have seen that ultimate ceiling. You have seen the difference maker ceiling. Swift, you are still dreaming on that difference maker ceiling, and so again, it's not that I dislike Swift. I think he's great, but other people like him a lot more and are willing to pay up. Which I'm into that. I like getting value.
He's a perfect sell for me. That's why I keep mentioning him as a running back I would sell, because it's almost like a double camp. He's good. He's young. It's great. He's a top 5 running back, and people are like, "Oh, so that's the guy I go and spend all that for." It's like, no, that's what. Yeah, you can have it. You know, like people go, "Oh, and he's young, so the ceiling." It's like, no, he's there because he's at. It's okay,
right? You know what I mean? You could move to Eckler and probably a first and then some, and feel good about it.
Sold.
One of the biggest complaints in the DLF Slack that we hear about DLF is our rankings notes don't update a lot. And I have a purpose for mentioning this, because I've had the same note for DeAndre Swift since he was drafted, and it continues to be true. It's Austin Eckler with draft capital. That's what he is. And Austin Eckler is always drafted below him, so like I don't have to like Swift particularly more than anyone else.
Swift is only 5'8".
Sometimes notes don't change because I haven't changed my opinion. Just putting that out there to the Reddit threads. Like if I'm not changing it for the sake of it. That one's perfect. I'm leaving it.
I always thought Eckler was the 5'8" guy and Swift was like 5'10", but it's the other way around. Eckler's 5'10". Yeah. Good for him.
And
way to achieve that 10.
He can read a novel while doing one-hand pull-ups.
Oh my,
that's my favorite GIF of all time.
Have you seen the man's calves? I mean, seriously, Anyway, same question with wide receivers. Okay, I actually like this question. I like what Gavin's about here. DK, Higgins, McLaurin, Devontae Smith, Juju, Claypool. Does someone else want to go first?
Get rid of the rest.
Sounds like there should be a song in there.
Tomorrow you will find the DLF trade show where Addison and I talk about getting rid of Claypool before the draft, because it's the Steelers and they're going to draft a wide receiver in round 2 or 3 because that's just what they do. So I'm good moving Claypool. I love Juju. I am never giving up on him. I love Devonta Smith. He had a good season. They're going to draft a wide receiver also, and that's fine. McLaurin, you got to get out on. Even he will still produce, but his value is never going to go up again. He's already 27. There's so many weird seasons for him, coming off of a bad season, and like you should move McLaurin if you can now. Higgins, just on your team until you stop playing. Like, keep paying the league fees, even if the league ends, just so you could still have a team with Higgins on it. And DK, you're just not going to get the value for him because Russ left. That's just sort of the truth.
You say that, but I'm 7 spots below consensus. He's still like mid top 12 wide receiver for Dynasty rankers and Superflex at least. So, I know. Similar process here, Gavin. I'd trade or keep all of them at different values. But team situation wise, let's do it that way. DK, if you're more interested in the points, you just keep DK. His value right now is still pretty good though, and so honestly, there's, like I said, he's still ranked top 12 wide receiver. He's still DK Metcalf. You can send him a picture of him without his shirt on in the trade, and you're probably so. Yeah, I don't think I think you get the value that DK has right now, and there's risks that it starts to drop from here because Russ is gone, and that is worse. Higgins, I honestly think he's a good trade target to trade away right now because I can't see a way Higgins improves value. He's already a top 12 wide receiver. He's got Burrow. He's got the hype after a hyper-efficient season. Like, I love Higgins. I think much like Swift, I think he's going to continue to be good. But I don't see Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, that level of ceiling in his range of outcomes. So I think we're valuing him where he's at, but people are really interested in paying it. So, yeah, honestly, I explore Higgins trades when I can. I will see that one league where my team's dead. I'm trying to move it on. I've been trying to trade Higgins, and I've been finding it tough for anyone to trade for him. So don't believe everyone on Twitter saying I am highest on Higgins. Turns out not to be true in real leagues. But if I can get that value, I definitely want it. And similar with Russ on CMC, his top 12 upside is the chances of it's definitely slipped after last year, just career arc wise. And so if I can trade him for a player I still think has more of that range of outcomes, like a Devontae Smith, like an Elijah Moore plus, or I can put him in a trade where I get that kind of a thing, that's where I sell McLaurin. Devontae Smith right now, I'm keeping him. I think he's one of the easy holds or trade for guys in Dynasty. I'll trade him away again if my team utterly sucks and the value is more important. Juju, screw you, never. Claypool, I sold him like 2 years ago, guys. If you didn't, I don't know, start listening. I don't that's a terrible thing to say. Honestly, at this point, I think it's better to keep Claypool than trade him unless he can get a first-round pick. Those are my answers.
Zach
nods sagely. Yes, probably some of that is true. Nice. Gary Russell, 12th team, 1 QB. Would you send Prescott, McLaurin, Pitts for Herbert, Swift, and Juju?
Yep.
I know Pitts is kind of a jewel here in terms of rare dynasty assets in a 1 QB league. Herbert means nothing to me. Neither does Prescott in a 1 QB league. I don't care. So it's McLaurin and Pitts for Swift and Juju.
Plus a
and
first.
23 first.
Plus a first.
Yeah, maybe a boat. Got it. Yeah, I guess I want Juju. That's the guy I want.
We do this every year.
Interesting.
Dynasty classes are different. So a 23 first is a better chance at a boat than a 22 first. Like the 23 first. Like
and currently valued that way.
Yeah, but I just named off 7 guys that I would rather have than anybody in this class for next year. 7 already before I've even looked at it.
Yeah, and none of them will be Kyle Pitts potential, though, right?
I mean, but
Dynasty, like the rarest of rare things, Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, kind of potential at least. I'm not arguing for it. I'm just saying that's a thing that is worth pointing out. I'm not taking the non-Juju side. Let's be honest. I'm just putting it
a younger, better quarterback. You got a top 5 at least valued running back that
I flip him immediately.
Yeah, that you can flip.
Yeah,
you got Juju, who that's the crown jewel for you. And to me, that it's Herbert over Prescott, hands down. Swift over McLaurin if you had 2 McLaurins, and then Pitts, fine. I'd rather have Juju in a 23 first than Pitts in especially if it's not tight end premium, like whatever.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
so that's just how I'm breaking that down. I try to when I look at something, I try to break it down into pieces before I look at the aggregate because it's easier for me to digest that way.
Yes,
it's a good way of doing it. I just see which side Juju's on. I should really probably.
That's really the best way to do it.
League makers shopping Khalil Herbert. Yeah, I know him. For a late draft pick. What rookie pick would you give up to grab him on the cheap? It's an interesting question. Like, nowhere near a first. That's not cheap. But yeah, a third round pick, any third round pick, any late second round pick, sure. If you like him, it's fine. 211, 212, 28, 210. I'll go up to the 208. There you go. Anyone beat that in auction? No. All right.
So
Austin, you don't have to go up that high, so I wouldn't. But yeah, offer him a third. Austin, 102, Elijah Moore, I'm guessing Lance, and a 23 first, or Jefferson Fields and the 112 in a Superflex 12 team.
Jefferson.
Fair trade or preference?
Sorry, I didn't actually read. Like, I just saw Jefferson, and I'm like, Jefferson?
See, it works. Just look for the side that's got your guy on. Oh, that side. Yeah, that one. Yeah, it's Jefferson side. Superflex, I might be Breece Hall and Elijah Moore and Trey Lance, but I'm on anti-trade for Lance. And also trade away Fields, though, so I'd probably rather have Lance and Fields.
I'm taking Jefferson side.
It's the Jefferson side. It's just,
but it's not by much. I mean, you're basically...
No, I would...
Okay.
I struggle to find Breece Halls for my roster. This would be a way of getting it.
About a first shy of Jefferson on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a fairly good trade. I don't think it's a terrible trade because we could argue both sides a little bit. No, yeah. I think it's fair. Preference-wise, I think we're all taking the Jefferson side.
Take out the 112 and it's a much better trade.
Sure. It's always better when you get it for less.
I think it makes it better value. Jerk. Yeah.
Well known. It's well known. It's literally going to be.
I'm just reaffirming.
Here lies this guy. He was a jerk. It's fine. Tyler Reeves, Carla and St. Brown from Montgomery, and a third. Who wins?
Just because
I want St. Brown to be honest, but I think
I'd take St. Brown over Montgomery and Carter over a third.
I say value-wise, it's the Carter St. Brown side. Points-wise, it's probably the Carter St. Brown side. I don't know how many years Montgomery has got as the bell cow in Chicago.
Does he have it this year? We don't know.
That's what I say. I don't know how.
It was a Nagy thing my gast was flabbered. I was flabbergasted when Montgomery came back and they just took Khalil Herbert, who looked really good, and just threw him back to
back to Montgomery. Yeah.
Like, what? Why? How? But okay. All right, cool. But it's not Nagy anymore. It's a completely different staff, so we don't even know that Montgomery's walking in as that guy.
I think we should probably assume it, but I see your point. There's a chance he's not.
Well,
Khalil Herbert would look real good.
How much of that guy will he be? That's a better way to phrase the question. Because, Montgomery's still probably going to walk in and be, even if it is a committee, he'll be the 1A.
He'll be
probably by, at least at the start of the season, a good 20-30%. But
I think you're all right. Carter and St. Brown easily wins in value. This is a kind of trade I find myself I would be willing to do, though. You give up a little value, and for a person who has to trade for running backs because he mostly stocks up elsewhere, this would make sense for me. So I think it's fairly even, or there's a reasonable world where this is a good trade. But Carter and St. Brown have more value independently. Stefan, what rookies do you have in the 105-110 range? I gotta look it up. I can't remember these guys' names. Come on,
Superflex.
It's running back 2 and 3. I'm assuming it's a Superflex, so it's a running back 2 and 3, and then the wide receiver 3 to
Olave.
Whatever's left.
Yeah, so like Pickens, Bell, Spiller. Drake London, Kenneth Walker, Olave, Jameson Williams, some like that kind of tier of people.
And I mean,
running back 2 and 3, and then wide
receivers most likely at some point. Whether it's Pickett or Corral, I'm sure they'll fall in that.
Not for
me.
They
specifically, it's Walker, Spiller. I'm putting David Bell in there. It's pre-draft, so I get to just believe that. Okay, David Bell, George Pickens, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. I didn't say Drake London's name, but you can put him in there if you want. Okay, it's fine.
Quick
I just
warning.
ran out of spots.
When you're doing rookie drafts, have your own set of rankings.
Oh yeah,
David Bell fell like to the 208 in our draft.
That's why I started making draft boards and lists because I lose
he
all my
was,
players.
Like, crazy down on the list, and we just forgot about it.
Oh, we didn't. I tried to trade in for like 6 picks.
Did you? I completely missed it. Like,
and I
scrolled down like 3
times,
me, and every time stopped right before his name came up on the screen.
Worst time that happened to me was Kenny Golladay, because I was all about the Golladay life in his rookie season, like Team Golladay. And then in my rookie drafts, I kept forgetting him. I didn't have my own list. And so in the second round, I was sending trade offers for every pick, trying to get Kenny Golladay. And almost every time he would be drafted, someone would realize and draft him before I could get a trade. And it sucked. Sucked balls. Don't do that. Make your own list. Derek Brown, I've heard of him. I know that guy, kind of a little bit. I spoke to him on Twitter once.
He's trying to give me Antonio Gibson, like, hard in 12 Olympians.
Oh, he must think that Breece Hall is going to end up there.
Bob Gilchrist, I know that guy. This is weird. I spoke to him on Twitter once, too. It's so fun to draft before the NFL draft things. You really get to get your guys. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's what I use best ball for. I just mostly draft rookies in my best ball
just
leagues.
One. Like, just like give me one, and it's enough fun for me. But I really do like it.
No, in the underdog drafts, I'm hitting the ADP on pretty much all the rookies. Even the ones I don't like are a little too low.
I should do that. I have money in underdog. I should use it.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I find that pre-NFL draft, at least in this particular league, first-round picks are easy to come by, and later-round picks are overvalued, which is weird.
I actually finished my last one yesterday. I could start more, obviously, but I don't know. I feel like maybe let the draft, it finished at just like perfect timing, so why not take that? And I was looking at my exposure, and it's like all the cheap running backs from this rookie class that I expect might just elevate if they get. And it's like Tyler Batty and Brian Robinson and Rashad White. They're like the highest rostered running backs. Wide receivers, I've even got like, nope, didn't get many of the wide receivers. Turns out, well, I guess everyone's higher than me. Robinson.
Not banking on rookie wide receivers good anyway.
Towards the second half of the season, they're going to be useful, but you got to get there first, I guess. But yeah, a lot of running backs. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to get into that. Sorry, Bob. Seth, ETN, appreciate the phonetic writing there, equals question mark for a contender with only future picks. Depends where your league's at, but I think it's a good idea to buy ETN right now because the hype train really hasn't started. I really think it could.
But you're going to have to give up a 23 first for him. And that
depends. Speaking of hype trains, haven't even started. The 23 first will be like the crescendo of that is going to be just insane. It really is because we're already there and it's going to get even louder.
2020 seems worse.
If you have to give up a 23 first, I'm not sure I'm into it. I don't think his hype train catches up and overtakes at any point. So I don't want to trade a future first.
I had the conversation about ETN today on Twitter. Like, what pick would you trade for ETN? And I got to 105 before I'm even considering trading that to get ETN. And the only reason I would start to consider that is because I think ETN's value is going to go up as soon as you see a video of him in training camp make a cut or catch a ball, and everyone goes, "Oh, he's going to be."
Even if he doesn't look good doing it.
Yeah, well, it was the same thing we saw with Akers when Akers came back, and you had that first training camp video where he was through the ladder. Yeah, and everyone was just like, Cam Akers, and that's when you go, "Here, you take him."
I feel like. Yeah, I feel happy around the 108. I can trade the 108, one of those kind of end of the first round. Then I'm real happy to trade for ETN. But his value,
I would do that pretty easily.
We keep saying it's going to hype up, but it almost feels like it's already there.
No, it's not. It's not though, Peter.
Is it higher than that?
It will get higher. It will get higher.
Well, yeah, it'll get higher than that. But if you can get him for around that, then I'm good.
It's the mamas and the papas, McGuinn and McGuire. They're just getting higher in LA. You know where it's at.
Well,
sorry, you guys don't know that one. We're back in the 60s. What's up?
I'm a bad person. In a 10
we know Peter.
One QB Thank you. He just, I'm pretty sure that's what that screen name is about. It's just fun to hear me say that regularly. 10-team league, 1 QB, Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Higgins, Brandon Cooks, Elijah Moore on the 104. Ooh. A good core. Yeah, it's a freaking fantastic core. Probably sell. I can make a case for selling all these wide receivers except for Cooks. But anyway, moving on. I think your team's pretty solid. I mean, if you get good trades, you trade them. If not, I think you should feel pretty happy. I can't see your running backs, obviously, but that's what you need.
I mean, if you can move more before tomorrow, whether it's
I'm sorry, I'm
used
to
saying they draft another wide receiver. It should not. Don't get me wrong.
I'm used to saying it the other way around. Yeah, but you're right. If you want to trade more, now's a better time than after tomorrow, probably. Yeah. I don't think
you need to move any of that.
No, you don't have to. No, except for like you said before, Metcalf. There's risk.
If he can,
I'm higher than Deontay than most. So.
With Metcalf, the move that I'm looking to make with Metcalf, I think, and this is fairly specific, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this particular trade, but this is what I am looking to do: is move down from DK Metcalf to like Stephon Diggs, who I think will produce more, will cost less, so you end up with something on top of Diggs to trade away Metcalf. And that's a move I'm looking at, something like that.
I agree. I like that.
I keep saying this, and it's time I looked it up. Like, what can you get for T. Higgins? It just feels like a pretty good opportunity to explore.
Everyone.
See, that's what I think, but then I'm trying to trade him in a league, and I can't get it. So maybe
you haven't offered him to me, Peter, in that league.
I believe I did.
What league? Am I in it? Give him to me.
No, you didn't.
Can I join that league so you can give him to me?
Okay, his recent trades, if I can get to it, from the DLF Trade Finder, T. Higgins and Nico Collins for the 101 this year, I'm assuming, Donald Parham and Jalen Reagor. So basically, T. Higgins for the 101, which seems like a pretty good trade. That has Justin Jefferson in it, so that doesn't count. T. Higgins, Michael Carter, and the 3rd-round pick for the 103. That seems way too heavy. Like, why are they having to add for the 103? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Higgins should fetch you the 103. So I think you can get a good trade for Higgins, but it's kind of hit or miss, honestly. So I'm probably going to have to stop saying that.
He's really league dependent, though, because it depends on how plugged in your league. Like, if your league is like Dynasty Twitter, T. Higgins is probably a little overvalued. If your league is a little more casual, he's a wide receiver too on his team, and which is fine. But he's also like a top 14 wide receiver points. Like he's pretty good. So
he's good.
It's one of those where it's really league dependent. He's I think on
he's
DLF,
the DeAndre Swift of wide receivers. Like you keep him, or if someone's willing to go nuts and give you like something great, better than they should, then yeah, sure, by all means trade him, because there is in some league, like you say, it's league dependent. Some leagues there's going to be someone who's really dialed in on the fact that Higgins is pretty good.
I hate to say this, but the DeAndre Swift of wide receivers is actually CeeDee Lamb, with all that potential and all that hope, and I love CeeDee Lamb, but he's probably
T. Higgins
overvalued
more than CeeDee Lamb.
They're pretty close. I think CeeDee Lamb has a higher ceiling. But if you're talking about like reality, like where we're living right now, yeah, they're real close.
I think Swift has the higher ceiling than CD does. That's the sad thing. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, of course he does. Yeah.
Wow, that made me sad for CD Lamb.
I know. I mean, like, but again, like there is that hope, that ceiling, that hey, maybe he'll be the wide receiver 1 now because Amari Cooper is gone and Dak is healthy, and you know the offense has changed and Jason Garrett is gone, and like you know you're hoping against hope that now everything has aligned for Lamb. But that's the same thing people are, like we're knocking people for Swift about.
So you hate CeeDee Lamb and you don't care about 2nd-round pick. So if someone to offer you T. Higgins for CeeDee Lamb plus a 2nd-round pick, that'd be a win for you. I'm not using this live stream to organize my own.
Sounds very specific, Peter.
You think? I don't know. It seems like a fairly unbiased question that'd be relevant to a lot of people in different leagues. Anyway, moving on. Did we answer this one? I think we did. Joe Herbert. If Debo is dealt for a high draft pick, he needs to clear a physical before that happens. The time to deal him away may have already passed.
Wait, can he not pass a physical now?
I haven't heard that. But apparently there's injury concerns on anyone you don't like. That's what I like to say.
Debo has been getting injured for a while.
No, here's the thing. Injury concerns are real until they're part of their value, because we're terrible at predicting injury concerns. And Debo Samuel, before last year, one of the reasons he fell was because everyone was like, we'll mention that Rich Harbour pointed it out, so you don't have to be dumb to think it. Like, you can be literally one of the smartest people I've ever heard talk on a podcast and think this. He describes him as like a monster truck with the constitution of a Ferrari. And that he's a monster truck in terms of the way he plays, but he's very finely tuned and breaks fairly easily. That's the way I've heard it described.
It's the JD Drew go to baseball, which you have no idea about and nobody in the chat cares about. But JD Drew is one of the greatest hitters that I've ever seen play, and he just, when he was not right, he didn't play. Like, if he was nicked up at all, you're just like, nope. So it's a similar thing.
Like Jordan Reed comes to mind. This guy who's great tight end.
But he was
But we've just seen him be healthy. We've just seen, and it happened with Jordan Reed too. When you saw him be healthy for a season, like, the concerns just dropped. So it's worth remembering that we were scared about that beforehand. I think that's kind of Joe's point. It's a fair point. It's fair to remember it, but if he's healthy, he's going to be good. Michael Carter, no Debo insights, fellas, but I'm just
he's trying to pretend he's not the Michael Carter. We know.
Just in case. Turn DJ Moore on the 106 into Devontae Wilson and on a 12-team Superflex contender.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I did. No, yeah.
I know you don't like giving up DJ Moore, but I prefer Wilson to the 106 by quite a sight. And assuming is it Zach Wilson or Russell Wilson? If it's Zach Wilson, I'd rather have the other side.
Fair enough.
Maybe it's Zach Wilson because we're talking about Jets, but
we got to use first names at this point in the NFL.
If it's the neighbor Wilson, I'm on the fence.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're right next to it, at least. Yeah. Daryl, I have the 101, the 102. I wonder if literally I think we're probably too old to reference shows we used to watch. Like, I don't know anyone gets that one.
I mean, look, I just came all the way from the Mamas and the Papas to.
You just jumped 30 years, so appreciate that.
I have the 101 and the 102 through trades on a stacked team. Do I just draft Brees and Malik? Yeah. I mean, unless if someone's willing to give you more than they're worth, then by all means. But otherwise, you should feel real happy drafting both. And that's what I would plan to do. Sean, trade the 103, the 211 for Debo in a 12-team Superflex, no tight end premium. Thoughts?
I would.
103 and 212
that's
Debo.
On par.
The 103, fine. I'd probably keep Debo. I'm not sure the wide receiver 1 or 2 in this class has that kind of upside, but maybe.
Well, I think he's saying to trade those picks for Debo.
Yeah.
I would send those picks for Debo.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. There you go. Trey Cobb, QB, Tua, Daniel Jones. You could just say Tua. It's okay just to not have to admit that. Right, fine. AJ Dillon, Gamewell. Your running backs look like my running backs. It sucks, doesn't it? Pat Freiermuth, that's nice. Mike Gesicki, good. Gonna start commenting on every player. But I don't know who Jay Jett is.
Jefferson.
Is that Jefferson?
Yes.
Okay. Judy, Claypool, Bateman, Rondo Moore, and then a bunch of picks. I don't know what. I don't know.
Question, or are you just bragging?
This is my team. I don't think it's a brag. A lot of problems here. There's a lot of projected upside and not a lot of actual
is the next
already value. Like Justin Jefferson's great, and the rest is, I hope, Mike Gesicki's fine.
If you go down 2, the question is, what do you think of his rebuild so far?
I think you've got way too much hope in your roster. Not to be the guy who hates hope, because I'm the guy who hates hope, but like this time next year, like everyone but Justin Jefferson could have busted out, and you're still building. Like all of these guys are way too risky for a rebuild. Is that just me?
Nope, you're right.
Like, yeah,
I mean,
I would trade them at their current values if I'm rebuilding.
Freiermuth is probably relatively safe. That might be it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bateman and Judy. I like a lot of the upside plays you have here, but they're all upside plays. And if I'm building, I'm not looking for upside.
Chances are there's another rebuilding team in your league, 2-1, a couple of guys. Like send Rondale Moore and Bateman for someone who's a little steadier, like Peter's saying. It's cool that they're all young, but you also need something to build around for sure. And you need more than just Jefferson. So, like,
and to be clear, Trey,
2 of these young guys for ones. Keep Freiermuth, keep Tua, and keep Jefferson. The rest traded away.
Honestly, like, and I know you say keep Freiermuth, but Freiermuth is one of the players on this team that actually has some value because people value tight ends more than they should.
Yeah,
Jefferson, Freiermuth. Maybe Judy, maybe Bateman. They're not even there. Like, those are the guys you're going to be able to trade. If you're building, trade them, kind of a thing.
Yep.
I mean, for Jefferson, you literally need the world. Don't get me wrong. Don't just trade him. But you need, like, their second-born child or something. But if you're building, I'd be more inclined to trade him than keep him. Because all of these guys, unless there's someone in your league that's willing to come in on the upside, like if I'm in your league, I'll probably trade for Rondale Moore with you. But there aren't many of us left. Bateman, too. Bateman seems to be in this, no one really is excited anymore. Am I wrong on that? I looked up his ADP. It's almost exactly the same as what it was when he was a rookie. Everyone's like, I don't want to make a decision here.
People still don't believe in Lamar Jackson as a passer, even though he was really good last year.
It's weird because it felt like every week everyone couldn't stop saying Bateman's about to do something magical. And then when he didn't, it's just continual disappointment. Even though he did fine. He did great. It's just
he was getting better and better every game.
Yeah, I think Bateman's great. But it feels like we got let down by everyone hyping up the upside every week.
But Bateman was never Bateman was never going to be a flashy guy. That's not what he does. He's just good.
That's why I liked him. He's just this good player.
And it's very fitting for the Ravens as well.
Yep.
Like, if you want flash, it's Marcus Brown. And no one wants to like Marcus Brown, so they're both kind of good. But anyway, we're getting off the point here. I think it's hard to trade Bateman, but I would still probably fish him because there are going to be more people that are willing to give you, a first. One thing to note, if you're building, I don't know how to play this yet, but like first easier this year. It's easier to get a top 3 pick this year than a 23 first. And if you're building, if you get those kind of trades, I wouldn't be scared to go in on rookies if you're building for some of these upside Claypool and Rondale Moores and even Tua in a super flex, I'm assuming. Did he say?
He didn't say.
If it's a super flex, if you can find someone to fish for that upside on Tua, because it's there. But anyway, those are my thoughts on it. It's not that you're doing a bad job. And the reason I say that is because I've fallen into that trap. Like, my team sucks, so I trade for a lot of upside plays, and then it sucks again, and it's so much harder to dig yourself back out of that hole. And that's all. I'm getting post-traumatic stress off your team. Jerry, who's the best free agent running back left available? I actually don't know who the free agent running backs are. Melvin Gordon just signed again, didn't he? So
yeah. I have no idea.
Don't have a name. No.
I'm working on that, but you can keep going, and I will come back.
Okay, we'll come back to that one, Jerry. Sorry, I don't track it. I wait till something happens, as you know, with stuff like that. Like with Debo, until it happens, I assume he's not moving. Is Hunter Renfro a hold or sell on a rebuilding team? No urgency to really get rid of him. Just wondering what the consensus is on his value. I'm not laughing at you. The way I read that was really weird because I thought it was going to end in a question mark, and so my inflection went really off. Sorry. No urgency to really get rid of him. Just wondering what the consensus on his value is in regards to the potential Waller move or non-move. His value is a 3rd round pick. We said this when the offseason started, and everyone was like, "You're stupid. You ever tried to trade Hunter Renfro in a Dynasty league for more than a 3rd round pick?" No one wants the little tiny white guy on the Raiders who catches a lot of cash. No one wants to pay for that.
Like mid-second is
no one's doing it. I really
at
feel
that point, just hold
and
on.
That's too low
until he scores.
Exactly. You're not going to get a first, and that's probably what he's worth.
And if Waller is traded, I mean he's going to be it's going to be 3rd and Renfro. It's what he does. He's open all the time.
I'm ready for football season, baby.
I think he's one of those players that he's just points. I don't think there's really value there. No one wants to pay what he's worth, and no one wants to trade him for. So he's just points, and that's great. That's great if you got Hunter Renfro, and bad in every other situation. Having said that, pulling up recent trades, because I realize that's a thing we can do. Like DLF has this whole thing. Renfro in the 208 went for Rashad Bateman and the 311. I don't hate that.
It seems like a lot for Bateman.
Really? Renfro in a 2nd for Bateman? I would love that. Next most recent trade, Metcalf for Renfro in the 106. That's pretty high value on Renfro. You see what I mean?
Say that one more time. I missed
it. Hunter Renfro. DK Metcalf for Hunter Renfro on the 106.
Yeah, that's like a first value on Renfro for me.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So you can get it apparently.
You just got to package him. He can't be the centerpiece of the deal.
He's got to be.
He's got to be periphery, and then everyone's like, "Oh, this is a great throw-in."
4th trade along, 305 for Hunter Renfro, straight up. So there's some variance. He's either worth DK Metcalf or a 3rd round pick.
I think that's the fun thing about Dynasty and fantasy football in general is it's so league dependent, and we can give you answers, and we can give you our answers, and we can give you like the in a vacuum answer, and we can give you like these are the states of your team answer, but really the answer depends on your specific league and how people value them. Back to Jerry real quick. The free agent running backs available are David Johnson, Tariq Cohen, Philip Lindsay, Sony Michel, and pretty much drop your voice. So
Sony Michel's the only one I would care about.
Yeah, but even like I guess buy low target depends on how low you're buying. Like I'm looking for him on my waiver wire, and I'm looking for anything after a 3rd, I guess, and I'd go get Sony Michel.
To sum up, Clue. I'm just going to call you Clue. His value. The way I'll answer the question is, what value do I need to trade Hunter Renfro? And that's a late 1st round value, basically. And you're going to get that in some leagues, and in a lot of leagues, he's going to be literally worth a 3rd. But that's the value I would need to trade him. I don't think we get it often. Silence of the Lamb, which is a great name. You like CD Lamb, and you should all probably like that. I hate being on my own on that one. Just joined, so I'm not sure if you touched on this, but what is Elijah Moore's value compared to this draft class? Okay, good question.
Now the question so where would you draft? Just joined when he asked this question. How long ago did he ask this question?
He asked it at 9:51, so about an hour ago.
So about an hour ago.
That's a record.
Yes, we should really change that. After this draft, he's probably going to be worth a 108. Right now, he's probably worth about the 104, 105.
Yeah, I'd say 106, 107, 106.
106. I would still pay the 104 for him after this draft tomorrow. Hey, the draft's tomorrow.
The draft's tomorrow.
Plus money. 10-team Superflex. Jerry Jeudy for the 110 and the 103 and a handy in the back alley. Makes it tempting, but I think I'm just going to keep Jeudy for that, to be honest.
Yeah.
The rest looks very scared. Trade Carter for Corey Davis and the 111. I mean...
Wait, what? Yes.
Michael Carter for Corey Davis and the 111.
You're getting a first plus for Michael Carter? Go do that.
Yeah.
Yep. Marco, Superflex, half PPR. Terrence Marshall for Nico Collins. I mean, who
whatever.
cares?
I would take Nico Collins, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Either, honestly. I'm going to trade them for other things. I guess if forced, I'll take Marshall. Honestly.
Same position, same tier. It doesn't make sense to make that trade, but I like Nico Collins over Terrace Marshall.
Okay. I'm a bad person. Given your points about having studs and 10 mans, does it make sense to overpay for studs? I think
you kind of have to.
The value on tiers shifts significantly. That's another way of thinking of it. Like Elijah Moore, top 24 outcomes, probably worth a little less actually in a 10-man league compared to a 12-man league. Whereas someone like Devontae Smith, who we mention regularly, so I'll throw his name out, probably has a higher potential range of outcomes, at least higher variance range of outcomes, so might have a little bit more value. Whereas in a 12-man league, I kind of like them both about the same amount. Is that about Sam right? Yes. Russ is doing the Pete just said something crazy. Look, no. Okay, Jason, 12-team Superflex. Would you trade a 24 first? Sure, and a 23 second for the 104.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially in a Superflex. Again, I still think that there are 4 players that I'm really confident about.
Yep.
Colin, apologize for the questions. It's too long for the show.
That's really not a problem.
No, the show is too long for the questions. It's the opposite.
we work the opposite way. Don't worry about it. In a 10-team league, and 2 more people want to join to make it a 12-team league. Best way to go about adding them? That's a really interesting question. Russ and Zach are going to be the only ones with decent answers. I avoid commissioning like it's commissioning a job.
Okay.
In other words, go for it.
The only real way, there's 2 ways to do this. There's the jerk way and the real way. The jerk way is let them fill their team from the waiver wire and give them extra first round picks. Because what do you have, a 10 team? Give them 111, 112, 113, 114. Like, give them 2 extra picks at the end of the round. But that still sucks. What you should do is all the 10 teams that are already there, they take whatever your starting lineup is, probably times 2. So like, say you start 10 people, they get to protect 20 people. Everyone else is dropped. And they get to do an expansion draft, like the way pro sports does it. Like, that's the way you should do it. Now, even at 20 is probably a lot. But like, let people protect 15 players on a team. And then, expansion draft, like, they get to draft from the rest of those and the wire. It's going to be rough for the new teams, no matter how you do this. So it's just, I think that's the best way to do it. But I mean, if you guys have any other ideas.
No, that's exactly, I'm trying to find somewhere we had a spreadsheet where we did that for the Real McCoys, our home league, which started off as a 10 and went to a 12 and did the same thing. And we did do exactly what you said, where we had an expansion draft and we protected, it was something like 12 players or 14 players or whatever.
Yeah.
And the teams went through and picked until they got, it was like a 14-round draft. But we also had protections on, there were only so many players that could be picked from each team.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So you weren't like, one team wasn't losing 7 guys and another team.
Yeah, but there's ways you want to try and make it a little bit fair for the existing teams.
Yeah.
I've never done it, so I don't really know those little things like that.
The real answer to this question is get on Twitter right now. Draft a tweet that says at ScottFish24 and at RyanMCD23 and ask this question.
Commission
and
Possible.
Then listen to the Commission Impossible episode.
Talked about it a few times.
I'm sure they have, but yeah.
Yes. Honestly, that's where I got my answer from.
Yep.
So yeah, go listen to Commission Possible. First of all, that show is just fantastic.
Yep.
You will learn so much even if you don't run leagues. But yeah, talk to Scott, talk to Ryan. They will gladly help you out, and they'll give you details that I can't think of because I've never been through it.
Good reminder to be kind to your commissioners.
Absolutely.
Call him an asshole most of the time, but every now and again be like, hey.
I tell my commissioner I love him all the time. Russ, love you, man.
Anyway, Waddle or DK?
Am I crazy? I want Waddle, but
no, Waddle's
I think you can. I think you can get more for DK. So like Waddle plus, but I want Waddle just straight up. I want Waddle.
Yeah, I mean,
Waddle is like wide receiver 10. DK is like wide receiver 8, so they're pretty close. I have Waddle over DK. So
Waddle in a matter by the time the season starts, whether something weird would have to happen at quarterback in Seattle for DK not to drop a little bit, in my opinion. Like,
I mean, to be fair, isn't that like the one thing? Isn't Daniel Jones? Isn't that like the one thing maybe Daniel Jones can do? Just hug it really far.
That's why I love Drew Lock. Yeah,
that's a fella. It doesn't matter. Same player in Dynasty. It's the same thing.
I love the idea of Drew Lock throwing the ball to DK Metcalf. It's not a good idea, but I love the idea of it.
He ain't gonna aim it very well, but DK's really fast.
But DK's really big and really fast. He doesn't
really fast. It's like, well, I'm on the other side of the field, but thanks, Drew.
Yeah, I think the answer is Waddle.
Yeah. Gary Russell, what player other than the top 5, so kind of a deeper player, don't go saying Chase and Jefferson, in other words, in rookie mocks really sparks interest for you? Oh, sorry. Don't go saying Hall and,
Justin Ross.
Drake London, I guess. David Bell, I mentioned him a few times. Like I'm gonna probably add him, and he's probably gonna be a 2nd round pick and not Keenan Allen, but I really like him. The things not to like about him are he didn't run well at the combine, and that's like number 1 on my list of things I don't care about. So that's why I like
Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson right now is going mid-second in rookie drafts and is a value. The other guy that may fall, you mentioned Bell, Pickens may fall too, and Pickens he's another interesting. I think he may have the
upside.
Highest. He may have the highest.
He's got upside up the butt
of anybody in this class. Like he may have potential to be the best player and the most potential of any wide receiver in this draft class. He also has a major like red flag. It's just the floor is not necessarily there, so it's scary.
Also real skinny, and I originally got told there's a bunch of character concerns. Not that I weight or judge most, but that's what the NFL is thinking about. Apparently,
I mean, he took a swing at a guy like on the sideline. There you go.
It's not a great.
Hey, LeGarrette Blount still made it to the Patriots and scored 18 touchdowns in the season. So
yeah.
See, David Bell doesn't feel deep to me, but I really think it is. So to throw out a name that I don't think
he's
you'll
outside
hear about
the top 5 or 6.
Yeah, but to throw out a name I don't think you will hear about it on literally every podcast eventually, at least. Khalil
Keontae Ingram. And that's a good one.
That's a good one. You guys are just addicted to running backs. I like Khalil Shakir, which I think I'm saying that name badly, but close enough. You could find him wide receiver position. He's an interesting.
What about Kyron Williams as a faller? Because his
I like that one.
Him
and Tyler Batty.
Awful, but
yeah.
But I don't really care about the combine, so we'll see how much the NFL cares about the combine. But as a pass catcher, if you put him on a team with somebody who is a runner, I think that you have something.
Yeah, I think him and Tyler Batty didn't change in my ranks after the combine, and everyone else, I think, pretty reasonably at running back were just like, oh no.
But so I'm on the clock. I'm on the clock for a draft, a startup. It is a 14.
We're talking about Gary's problem right now, Russ. Okay, you have to type your question in the chat.
Yeah, but it says Russell. It could be Russ.
Oh, that's fair enough. Go on, Russ.
You're on the clock. 14 team.
There's a lot of time on that clock. So 14 teams. 14. What just happened? That I don't know what's going on. So 14 teams.
I felt shame, so I went away for a second. Keep going.
We're in the 4th round, and I have 3 quarterbacks because people are silly and aren't drafting quarterbacks. So I have no other skill position players on the board available according to ADP's top players: Deebo Samuel, TJ Hawkinson, it's 1.75 premium, Steph Diggs, Dalton Schultz, Derrick Henry, Dallas Goedert, DJ Moore, Dalvin Cook, Freiermuth, Antonio Gibson, Deontay Johnson, Kamara, Elijah Moore. Okay, we're tearing down at this point. Who should I take?
What was the second player you mentioned?
I think you mentioned Deebo.
Who was after Hawkinson then? I know you said
let
Deebo.
me just Deebo, Hawkinson, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Schultz, Derrick Henry, Dallas Goedert.
It's probably Deebo for me. It's kind of between Deebo and Moore. But
Deebo and Diggs for me.
Yep.
No, well, you both said
I
Deebo.
guess Deebo. Yeah, that's
there you go.
Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Deebo Samuel.
Sorry, what? Was that another quick? Okay. Sorry. Silence of the Lamb. How far would Elijah Moore fall if Deebo went to the Jets?
Not
far.
Yeah, probably the same distance as when they take a wide receiver tomorrow.
Yes, I mean that's more or less what I mean.
How far is that? What's he worth now? What would he be worth in 24 hours?
I mean, we're talking. He'll still be worth the first. I mean, it'll be silly to go below that. So if he's worth the 105, 106 now, he'll probably go down to the 110.
Yeah, 108, 110, something like that. Weaves, if you were heading into next year out of a fresh startup with Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson as your quarterbacks, would you try to add at least yes? You need another quarterback.
I have faith in Justin Fields, and if Deshaun Watson plays, he's going to do well, but that's not a very safe situation.
I'll say those are 2 questions, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a very safe situation.
Yeah.
Chandler, tier 1 running back landing spots: Buffalo, Atlanta, New York Jets, Houston, tier 2, Miami, Seattle, Philly. I think that's a terrible list.
Yeah, I don't agree with your tiers, but that's okay. We can still be friends, Chandler.
Yeah, because a lot of people with the last name Russell going on.
I really think landing spots are. I can't even tier a list. I don't think
anyone in Buffalo is the running back 2 anyway.
Right.
Atlanta is just so bad, but yeah, they'll walk in as the running back 1. The Jets hurts my soul because I just want Michael Carter to still be the guy, but it's a good landing spot. Like, I am a little in on the Jets offense and the fact that they want to add people. So not saying that they will be good, but at least the fact
I
that
think they're improving. Don't get me wrong. I like the moves they've been making since dropping that terrible.
And Houston, I just want Marlon Mack to get a shot. Like, he deserved it. He was so good.
I still think Miami and Seattle are really good run. Like, if they spend capital, so that's the caveat with any of these is if they spend first round capital, if they spend second round capital, that is
Seahawks take a running back at pick 9. I'm done.
I mean, they won't, but that's what we're like.
I mean, I'm done already.
Like,
I barely consider myself a Seahawks fan anymore, but like, for reals, done.
Yeah.
I would personally never be excited about a first round running back going to Seattle. I'm just saying, it's just not a thing I would ever do.
You've been hurt.
If you have a bad team, 2023, how would you value it?
Like gold.
I don't.
Because if you have a shot at that being a top 4,
like it's a top 15 player.
I see what he's saying. Yeah. It's worth all the picks in this draft.
Yeah.
Start there, see if anyone come and meet you.
Yep.
BJ Lee, Najee Harris, or Breece Hall on the Bills. You can only pick one.
Harris.
Harris. Efficiency Twitter's really got in everyone's head about Harris. It's like, he's good in college, did really great in fantasy at least, got all the carries in the NFL, and everyone's like, oh, he's bad.
The team was such trash.
I mean,
do you see his YPTL 59 or I don't know what is it? The yard per team touch something? Yeah.
No. Eric, 8-team PPR. Nice. 2 QB start league, so it's super flex. Well, it's 2 QB, not even.
No, it's 2 QB, yeah.
I want to acquire Lamar Jackson. Yes, you should really want to do that. Who has Lawrence, Watson, Davis Mills as his other quarterbacks. Yeah, he's in trouble. I offer Cousins, T. Higgins, and the 108. He declined. There's a reason his quarterbacks suck then. He should have accepted that.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah. Especially, yeah.
In an 18 league, even if you're starting 2, we're talking.
Think about the advantage, though, that Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson give you.
Backpedaled real fast.
That's fair.
You have to think about who you're starting in an 8-team league.
No, I take that back. He was right to reject it.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Again, I don't mind your offer, but looking at it from his point of view, that gives him such a positional advantage. That if it were me, I'd go after one of the undervalued quarterbacks, or just sit tight with Cousins and Higgins.
I don't see anyone there with enough upside to really try for, though. You don't think Lawrence or Mills becomes...
No, but there are other teams in the league, is what I'm saying. Not on this team. Yeah.
Go see what the Dak Prescott or owner's thinking or something like that. Lamar Jackson in an 8-team league that's 2 QB. It's not infinite, but it's pretty big. It's that's a big value, and he seems to know that. So that's probably a difficult trade to get done, Eric. I can understand why you might have expected to be accepted, though, to be honest. Stephanie and Caleb, 10-team super flex. I have the 101. What is the minimum offer I should look for in a trade with the person who has a 104? They are asking. 23 first.
Yeah,
that's the minimum, right? Add a 23 first to the 104.
To be a decent amount to get from, running back to wide receiver to get up to
the quarterback or Hall or
one.
Yeah, I get that it's only 3 spots, but those specific 3 spots, it should cost a lot.
It's not a linear line.
If you have the 103 and 104, that's a start. It's going to take something like that.
Yeah. Joe Herbert, if James Conner was traded for Malik Willis, hey Joe, welcome back. Malik Willis would show self-destruct.
Peter might. I would just be here just basking in it.
He thinks he can't afford to lose. Honestly, in an 18 league, he kind of can't.
Peter would immolate, and then Zach and I would just be and pull out sticks with marshmallows.
That'd be the end of the Dynasty grind. That's the way we'd go at. 10-team Superflex tight end premium. What players could I trade the 104 straight up for? Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk. Who else was on that list I had? I made a whole video about it.
I don't know, but I like the Ayuk one at this point, especially with the rumblings about
Superflex, the 104. Hold on.
Who else was on my damn list? Yeah, that wide receiver buy list. I'd go trade for any of those.
Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, Malik Willis. Malik Willis? Okay, whatever. But that's what the train analyzer says.
Open 24 hours. What's up, boys? Boys? I don't know why I forget to say words sometimes. 3 of my favorites. Oh, thanks, buddy. Digging the show. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
But that was an hour ago, so who knows now?
Yeah, he's probably not digging it by this point after hearing about that James Conner trade. Eckler is actually bigger than Aaron Jones. Yeah, Eckler's a big boy. Aaron Jones is tiny, though. You've seen him next to
5'9", 206, and Eckler is 5'10", 200.
I'm a giant.
Trade for Aaron Jones.
Yeah, at 6 foot, I'm taller than almost every single running back.
I'm 6'2".
You're 6'2"?
Craig. 6'2". I think
Craig knows what's
about that. Peter's taller than
not like I
am.
measure myself for you.
I knew Zach was, but I didn't. Okay.
I'm only 6'1". Peter's just basking in the vacated targets now.
Just let that thought trail off. Craig, I'm just here for the vacated targets. Yeah, thanks. Joe, laughing at Craig. Everyone laugh at me. It's cool. It's fine. Jason Gray, I'm here. Hey guys, love the show. I just joined my second Dynasty league. Can you explain how you implement a zero running back strategy in a startup? Yes, I think so. Does anyone want to try?
Don't draft a running back till late. Sorry.
Ow. Yeah, technically, it's through the first 6. I think the original article says first 6 rounds you draft tight end or wide receiver.
You want to get like 5.
Draft those too.
Yeah, you want to get like 3 top 10 wide receivers or something. Like you want to. It's really it's not about number of rounds. It's about number of running backs that go before you take one. So you can't say I'm not going to take a running back until this round because, like, if no one else drafts a running back before that round, it's not really zero running back. Like if you're, but it's really making sure that you are more than set at the rest of your team before you look at running back. In Dynasty startups, you don't really care about lineups or anything, but like to actually implement zero running back, like you want more than your starting amount of wide receivers before you even think about going to running back. And if it's a tight end premium, you grab a tight end. If it's super flex, you grab 2 quarterbacks. And then when you start hitting is AJ Dillon low enough? I'm struggling to think of people off the top of my head. Hold on. When you get to like RB35, like the Devin Singletary, Kareem Hunt, maybe Miles Sanders at RB30, and we're talking at pick like 85 at this point. Like, oh, there you go.
Yeah,
doesn't matter how old that article is. It's right.
Yeah, wrote the original article. I just dropped the link in there. It is in behind RotoViz's paywall, unfortunately, but it's an article you should read, whether you want to implement it or not. It's like most what Sean has written actually is kind of foundational for Dynasty, especially. I was recently talking to someone after a podcast that he was arguing for yards per route run like a decade ago when we were still talking about market share. So like he's pretty sharp. And the article outlines it pretty well. I'm trying to look for like a good quote, and I can't pull up one quick to summarize it.
RBs get hurt, and you can't plan on
zero RB is basically what it sounds like. You simply don't draft running backs at the high leverage rounds. Depending on how a draft is progressing, I will either draft one high upside running back in round 4 or 5, or I will draft none at all. It's actually a fairly important point what Russ was saying, because I have argued a lot about what is and isn't a zero RB team, and people do want to specify you drafted a running back in the 3rd round, it can't be zero RB, where the article itself was very explicitly, it's not about, like Russ said, a specific round. It's about moving away from fragility, which is inherent to the running back position. So there's no real one way to implement it, despite the fact people will try and tell you. Ultimately, you just want to lean to the other positions, especially in, as the article specifically mentions, high leverage rounds. For the first 3 rounds, you can draw a line at the first 5 if you want. But Russ's point is kind of have to, and I think it's a good one, and it's inherent in the original article, you have to be susceptible to what's happening in the draft. If everyone's drafting running back, then that line is going to come up a lot earlier rather than later. And
then get a lot of them.
Yeah, and then you just
throw running backs.
Yeah, basically your bench is running backs.
Yeah,
all of it. I'm trying to go back to the original question here, but where I went down there to find my own comment so I could show you all. Like, I really effed this up, guys. Could someone say
like 20
more
minutes just to scroll up far enough to get to
right,
the question?
It's right there.
Thanks,
it's at 10. It's at 10:15.
It's right there.
Appreciate that.
Well, that ought to give you a time frame. 10:15,
No,
just above Bosch, saying hi at 10:16.
There you go. I hope that helps. I think it's the best way of thinking about implementing it. Don't draw strict lines for yourself. It's just
You can't.
exactly that. John Bush, hello. Hello, John. Craig,
Hello, John.
Man, Peter, you brought Russ on here. Let him cook. That's true. Let Russ cook. Let Russ. I think Brees. Fair enough. I think Brees to Vikings Titans would be peak chaos.
Well, it's funny. Like 5 years ago, we always used to say, it doesn't matter where this guy lands. Like, what could be the worst place this running back lands? Dallas. Like, because the one place you don't want to go is behind Zeke. You know, now, like, what's the one bad place they can go? Indianapolis. You know, like,
yeah.
Landing
like my list of bad landing spots
isn't the worst because this is what they did to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry also took 4 years to really make it, though, which is fairly unusual for the running back position.
Well, that's because they didn't play him.
Yeah. Yeah. Not saying
I
stupid, but it happens.
I hate.
But he was also behind a guy that was a 2,000-yard back the year before, and that Tennessee paid a bunch. Like that's.
DeMarco Murray was worth it. Don't get me wrong, but it just I was ready for Derrick Henry to play, and it just never happened.
Like, well, yeah.
I traded a second for DeMarco Murray the year he retired, thinking that he wasn't going to retire, and then he just walked off into the sunset. And I was like, I don't care about seconds. That's when that philosophy came up.
I still have Andrew Luck on one of my rosters just in case.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments on Twitter. How you all doing? Adam, 12-team Superflex. No, sorry, 12-team 1QB. Jesus, PPR. 101, 203 or Fournette and a 23 first. Fournette and 23 first, please.
102 and 203
for Fournette and a 23.
For Fournette and a 23 first.
Yeah, in a vacuum, it's the 23 first and Fournette.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then it depends on.
For me,
yeah. Why?
It comes down to what you're going to do with Fournette. Because, like, if your team sucks, just hold on to 102 and 203. Like, I get it. Like,
he implemented the vacuum seal, Russ. You're not allowed to say stuff like that. It's a vacuum. Sorry. I thought it was funny. Joe Herbert, Grandmaster Flash. Get higher, baby. I'm not sure Joe knew which chat he was in, but that's cool. Thanks, Joe. Robert Holland trade the 106 and the 109 for Javonte and a Superflex. Is that a win or a loss? I think that's a win mostly. Yeah. That's good.
Eat it. Wait.
It's a win.
CD easily. That must have been from a question we were talking about at the time.
I don't even remember talking about a CD trade.
45 minutes ago. I don't know.
Moving on. Sup, guys? What's the best Batman movie? I don't have one.
So my dissertation.
It's The Dark Knight, but it's not because of Batman. The end. Why so serious, Peter?
Christian Bale was one of the worst parts of the Dark Knight series.
Yeah, I could go with that. I don't have strong really feelings about the Batman movies.
I weirdly called Christian Bale being Batman. Like, have you ever seen the movie Equilibrium?
Yeah.
Go find it. It's not great, but it's great. It's really bad. It's one of those.
It's fun to watch. Yeah,
it's societal, Big Brother kind of things. But the fighting's very cool, and Christian Bale does this. They have this action scene where they call it gun kata. It's a combination of fighting and shooting with your guns. But he does this amazing fight scene, and he did it in one take. And I'm like, holy shit, that guy needs to be Batman. And then he was Batman. I'm just like, I did that.
Russ, I'm gonna need you to work a music deal for me. I did the open to the Dynasty Dummies last week in one take. So can you work something for me? I did. One take. Drafted JD Drew. See? There's somebody who
We've
knows.
got people on Twitter complaining that they asked a question 30 minutes ago. So, like,
I mean, are they new to the show?
It's weird. I saw that before I saw that comment. That's what I think. I drafted JD Drew when he went to Atlanta. Nice. Silence of the Lambs. JD Drew equals Anthony Davis. Sorry, this is a football stream. Don't know that either. Moving on.
Look what
JD
you did.
Drew is
started
saying
a baseball. Yeah.
Please tune into Zach's Dynasty baseball grind. That happens tomorrow, though, during the NFL draft. Andrew Carlson, 102 for a 23 first and 2024 first in 1 QB PPR league and a 12-person league.
2 firsts over the 1 first.
Yes. Oh, there we go. There's Akash. He was the one complaining. We're all caught up, I guess. No. We're still 40 minutes
mind
behind.
your business, Akash. You don't complain about us.
Hi, friends. Hey, I like Marcus Brown. By the time you read this, you'll be done talking about him, though. You all are so far behind on the comments. Hey, man, we're only 40 minutes. We've caught up like 10.
He does
10,
actually
10
really
minutes.
like Hollywood, too, so.
Yeah.
Can vouch.
What would you need to move from the 105 to the 111? A 23 first.
That's just Peter's default. That's his. I'm here, so I won't get fined.
It's everyone's default answer. All you need are 23 firsts. Okay, it's Dynasty.
Like, the 111 and the 112 isn't going to do it. Like, so you're going to need like something pretty significant, like maybe like the equivalent of the 107 and the 111 for the 105, which is kind of around the 23 first anyway.
Michael Pittman would get it done. Probably.
Just trade Michael Pittman.
Marquise
I know,
Brown.
it's a really hard question to answer because honestly, what's on your roster, that's a list of things you have to offer. Without that kind of
Yeah, but you can give
list,
them a base value.
wait.
We can drop that vacuum seal back down.
Well,
and
that's
give
why.
them
But that's the
value.
thing. A second isn't going to get it done, so you just have to answer the first. Like, we have dollars and we have no dollars. We don't have quarters and nickels and dimes to talk about when we're talking about.
But then you just drop into a range of players where you say like Bateman. I don't know, someone in that range. So Bateman, Darnell Mooney.
No, lower. Because I like both those guys. Yeah,
I know you like both of those guys, but the community doesn't like both of those guys. So you're getting somebody that the community is lower on than the 108. The community's lower on those guys than the 108, Peter. They are, because Jameson Williams is the 108, and they're lower on those guys than Jameson Williams. So why not go get one of those guys that you're higher on, that the community is lower on, to move down to the 111?
Analyzer says the 201. I think that's too low.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that for the 201. Not from the 105. I just wouldn't.
It's half a first round pick and it doesn't exist. CMC or Dobbins and a 23 second. CMC.
Yeah.
10 team PPR Superflex.
Stop making me pick Christian McCaffrey. I don't like it.
Jesus Christ. It's like having John back on the show. Russ, did John get in your head or something?
You know how often I talk to that guy? Yes, he is rent-free in here.
Rent-free. Chris Allen, how do you guys approach this tight end class? Honestly, I keep thinking I should figure that out.
Well, Chris
completely
knows very
avoiding
well how I have treated it so far. I took all of them.
I think there's actually kind of a few decent prospects here. No Kyle Pittses, who might, have a mediocre, pretty good sorry, I was trying for an insult there, but he had a good season. But I think Trey McBride, likely, even Kohler, Windermere.
Let's see. I took
all these guys are fine.
McBride at the 211, Wettermeyer at the 406, likely at the 408.
I think they were really interesting bets this year.
My buddy Tim took
Jelani Woods.
Yeah, Jelani Woods at the 301.
Who's the only thing Actually, the only thing I am certain on that's my approach to tight ends in this rookie class. It's to not draft Jelani Woods so hard. That's my approach. Like I'm gonna not draft him really hard.
But he's the one guy that everyone's gonna point to as the athlete. To me, it's for me, it's Trey McBride, or I'm not interested because I'll catch them on the flip when they don't produce after 2 years.
That's a catch-22. They're tight ends, so buckle up, put them on the back of your roster, come back and think about it in 3 years. Rough. Paul McVeigh, 1 QB league, the 104 and 201 for a 23-second and a 23-second for Higgins. It's just Higgins, right?
Higgins for. Yeah.
I mean, the 201 and the 23-second aren't like at that point you're compiling. It's not enough to make me want to give up Higgins.
Yep. Julian, who's your favorite pre-draft rookie wide receiver and why? Do you mean like a 101 or like we mentioned earlier, the guy who's really stands out to us as being we're higher on than most? Okay. Russ found his answer. I think Justin Ross is good.
Justin Ross.
Oh. To me, it's still Treylon Burks. Like, I know that he's been falling. I know that people hate him. I know that he can't run routes and he's real slow and all, but he's
wasn't asked to run routes.
Yeah, he's
apparently that makes it worse.
Tremendous after the catch. He created enough separation for me. He's actually a better downfield receiver than people think, but that's not his primary weapon. His primary weapon is being used closer to the line of scrimmage and using his ability post catch, which is really nice. He's a bully. He does some AJ Brown type things. And I'm still on Treylon Burks. If he goes in the first round, I'm still on Treylon Burks as my wide receiver 1. It doesn't change a thing.
Yeah, my wide receiver 1's also still Treylon Burks because I have received no new information with which I'd use to adjust my ranks since I initially made them, so I haven't.
I kind of...
The guy I'm higher on the most, I think, is David Bell.
The only reason I've been skewing a little towards Garrett Wilson over Treylon Burks is because it seems the NFL is leaning that way. And
Garrett Wilson seems a little more flourish.
But
his floor looks pretty good.
Here's the thing, though, is I don't care if they both get first-round capital. I don't care where they went. Right. I don't. Yeah. And maybe there's some metric that tells me I should a little bit, but I really don't.
No, I'm with you on that one.
Half the Dynasty community is like, why are they not talking about Drake London? Like that's a weird thing about us. Like none of us are.
Why are you so low?
I mean, he's fine. He's not bad. He's good. Not great. Like this whole class is like that's this class. If this class had a motto, I don't know the Latin for it. I could figure it out if I really wanted to think. But it's just they're fine. It's not bad. It's fine. But this is where we get into a first round pick is not necessarily equal to a first round pick, And the 101 this year and the 101 next year are in 2 different stratospheres. In fact, the 105 or 6 next year may be in the same stratosphere as the 101 this year. And so that's what?
Yeah, it's good. He's a good player. Where there's a 6-player tier 2. Like you, yeah, it's fun.
Did you hear me?
No, you just gave us the Latin.
Sum non malum, sum denique.
I got that. It's not bad. Yeah,
it's not bad. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you're competing in a 12-team Superflex, would you prioritize getting a QB3? My current one is Andy Dalton.
No,
it's sad. Or acquiring more depth for your flex spots. My QBs are Burrow and Lamar. Hit him with it, Russ.
Never makes you happy. You are more likely to need flex depth than you are QB depth, but you'll be more screwed if one of your QBs gets hurt. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, this
is an argument about depth quarterbacks not having quite the value John Hogue says they should, and I understand that they should, but it's like if the QB3 is what's affecting your team needs more than your QB.
I don't have
3.
3 starting
No point.
quarterbacks on any of my teams.
I usually don't even.
Unless
I love Hogue, but I've never bought into QBX. The
Unless
only
you
reason
have,
I buy
like-
into QBX is for what I just did in this draft that I'm talking about. I'll draft them so I can trade them, but I'm not holding more than 2 quarterbacks.
I mean, if they come off the waiver wire like a Davis Mills, I end up with more than 2 sometimes. But it's not a priority.
Stuff like that, yes. But I don't go out of my way to have 3 starters on my team.
Matthew Allen, have any of you ever been able to get Jamar Chase in this offseason? I haven't been trying, surprisingly. He was able to get him in a 12-team PPR league. He traded away the 107, a 23 first, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who is still, for some reason, a thing. Thoughts? That's great, man. That's a straight-up win. That's a tell everyone how great you are at trading kind of a trade.
I got him for like CD Lamb in a second, I think.
Which I would still prefer Chase by quite a sight, even though I like Lamb.
It was the problem was it was in the last. I think it was in the last year's site, like it was before February. So I can't find it.
No, I still got 0 Chase. I couldn't get him before the draft. I couldn't get him after the draft, and I sure as hell can't get him now. Fortunately, I've just struck out in the Chase front. So thanks for rubbing that in, Matthew. I appreciate it. Adam, Marcus Brown or Amon-Ra St. Brown in a startup? Ooh, same tier, same position, using Russ's answer, but Marcus Brown.
I wasn't looking. Yes, the answer is Marquise Brown because I think there's the upside there that is not there with St. Brown, but St. Brown is super safe and younger. But I uninstalled you. Why are you jumping up on my computer? The answer is Marquise Brown, I think.
Me?
I saw that.
Me? Insert laser eyes. Yeah, Cash is a big Marcus Brown fan.
Yeah.
I coerce Russ to say Carter is a mid on DTC. You can never take that back, Russ.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, fair enough. Cash is out here lying in this. I don't know. Cash, drop this.
Oh,
drop
never
the
mind.
receipt.
CeeDee Lamb, Cortland Sutton, and Dawson Knox, and it was January 30th.
Still love that.
I think that was before the Russell Wilson news.
106 and a 23 first for Watson. I'm not.
That's the league.
I'm guessing super.
Must be super flex. I have
both
Lance
teams
and
flex.
Rodgers. Yeah, I mean that's probably a win. Like Watson's probably the answer.
I don't want to do it, but
you can't make me like it. But that's the answer.
Speaking of someone actually commented on my ranks, which rarely happens on DLF, but they said, I appreciate your note on Deshaun Watson because it just says pass. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just gonna pass. That's like my whole that's where I'm at. Yeah, the trade's good. I'm just gonna pass. Cash.
Cash is on to us.
I have a question. And so long to see the that's what it is. We're trying to get that watch time up. We're really in depth into the weeds of the YouTube algorithm, and that's what this is.
Because we are that smart. Yeah.
I mean, look at us. You can tell just see it, algorithm geniuses. Trey Cobb, 12-team Superflex 1.5 tight end premium. QBs Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Mixon, Carter, Pollard. Is this going to be another one without a question at the end?
No, he says what y'all think.
Okay. Keenan Allen, Elijah Moore, Hollywood Brown. Great team, actually, in a super flex, right? Those quarterbacks, good upside in your wide receivers, solid value.
When the season rolls around, you should upgrade tight ends, but that's...
You have more points and value here, I would say, a little bit. And especially looking at your wide receivers, DK's falling, Keenan Allen's getting old, Elijah Moore's about to get drafted something. Hollywood Brown will just never be respect. So this is a team you go and try and win with because you're not winning it back.
Yeah, throw Komet in the 104 at like one of the top 5 tight ends. See if you can do that. No? You don't think you can?
I missed what you were saying because I was counting. Like
I said, go throw Komet and the 104 at one of those top 5 tight ends and see if you can get.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah. Go. You're not going to get Pitts, but I still believe in Kelsey, so go get Kelsey for that.
Yep. And then I think all of a sudden you're a solid contender.
Yeah.
There's something magical about the number 50 on this stream, by the way, because we keep getting to 50 and I get really excited. Like, that's the max number of watches we ever seem to get. And then it'll drop, but then it'll come right back. Oh, look, it went down to 49. But sorry, I just keep noticing that. Like, it drops and goes right back up, but never quite over 50. It's weird. Tyler Made, which is a great name for some reason. Taylor Made. Yeah, I like that. Tua Malik Willis, Superflex.
Malik Willis is worth more, but I prefer Tua.
Yeah, I take that.
I'm taking the upside of Willis. Because it's going to be he's going to be your quarterback too, regardless. Like, Tua is not going to be your QB1. If Tua is your quarterback 1, you are in trouble. I'm taking the upside of Willis.
That's a fair statement. Willis has a shot at being your QB1. Tua probably doesn't anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 wide receivers I really like, but whatever. And Lula, still here an hour later. Sorry, I'm trying. We suck. We get it.
You're open 24 hours. You're not going anywhere.
That's fair. Cash, they're not going to sleep.
Yeah, see?
Till midnight.
24 hours, not in a row.
We're half an hour ahead of Akash's schedule. I'm just going to say, killing it. And here's where I made the comments of the thing.
That makes me feel like we're catching up a little bit.
You did it 4 times, so that just crushed it.
No, I did it once, but it posts to all the platforms.
Everything.
But not to Facebook, because we can't do that on Facebook because we were late, so Facebook kicked us off.
Very judgy.
Because we suck. BJ Lee, yeah, a little snotty for Facebook, you know, like they'd ever broken a rule. BJ Lee, would you take any 23 first and 1 QB for Juju?
Nope.
It really depends on my team, but yes, I would. Oh, wait. Sorry, other way around for me. I would probably give that for Juju.
I would give a 23 first for Juju, yes. I would rather have the 23 first.
Oh,
yes,
my bad. 23. Yeah. Apologize. I was thinking about this year.
Oh, no. I don't think that. Silence of the Lamb. Yes, smash that, accept that. Yeah, if you get offered a 23 first for Juju, you should probably take it. I'm a not. Eric. But I want Lamar Jackson. Loads of money. I know, it's rough, right? It's like, but I want it, man. Come on, man. Just trade him to me. I've found that if you guilt trip Russ enough, eventually he sends you a trade that he really shouldn't.
I got the the Veruca Salt, like, I want Lamar Jackson now.
I use that just so much.
Yep. No, and it's rough here, Eric. But the thing that me and you, who would make a comment like that, have to realize is you're just going to have to big boy up and actually send something that the guy is wanting. Otherwise, you'll be here like, last year, I was really high on Lamar Jackson, but the other guy just wouldn't trade him to me, and that means that you were not high enough. And that was me on Debo and Cooper Kupp last year.
And Eric,
I said it, I couldn't get it done.
So, I have stopped thinking about necessarily individual players and started tiering the players because you'll be a lot happier that way.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm the guy trading with a frequent viewer of yours, Paul Cicero. Cicero? Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Help me convince him that a guy with only J.K. Jonathan Taylor and at RB means he needs to move more than just his 102 pick. I don't think I can. I could think, but do it, Paul. He's right.
Yeah, Paul.
All right, though. What is a good trade, though?
I don't remember what his original stuff was.
I was hoping you did. Dang it. I think it was the 8-team league, right?
Yeah. It was T. Higgins,
Kirk Cousins, and it got rejected because of all that upside in an 8-team league.
You're going to need to take Kirk Cousins and the 108, mush that together for one piece for that to come close. The fact that you're trying to 3-for-1 in an 8-team league is like almost an automatic reject.
I mean, the way to do that without, adding more players is just to dump draft capital on it. And next year's first round pick, probably 2.
That's good. I mean, if you want to get Lamar, you just go pay for him. Like Peter's been saying this entire time.
Or you're not as high as you think, and then you just kind of have to accept it. Like I can't get a Jerry Jeudy or a Juju Smith-Schuster trade going in my leagues. I have yet to acquire them. So if I can't, I'm just going to have to say I'm not as high as I thought I was on them. Everyone's about the same. Silence gets it. Local liability. Have a 12-team Superflex auction salary cap league draft coming up. Never done one before. Wow.
Message at John Bosch FF.
Yep. Yes. Go talk to John.
Immediately jump in John's DMs and explain this one to me, please.
Kevin Kutero is also a good one to hit up, but
he has the 6, 8, the 10, the 13 in this year's draft, though. Yeah, I would add 2 of those first-round picks to it and see if that maybe floats his boat.
Oh yeah, throw the 106 on top and see if that gets you anywhere, because it just don't matter that much.
Yeah.
Hey, if he loved T. Higgins, he'd have done it.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing back to you. If you love T. Higgins, you would come pay up for him with your damn Lamar Jackson, who should be worth a lot more. But anyway, so the Lamb, Titans would actually not be a bad landing spot for Brees, in my opinion, because Henry is almost done.
I'm not going to bet against Henry because he doesn't seem human. But yeah, I don't.
The more I've dug into career progression trends, the more I'm struck by how the difference between wide receiver and running back is marked, and it is true, but it's not nearly as drastic as we think. If you can still think Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams are going to be pretty good, you should probably be fine with Derrick Henry. It's
the elite,
not nearly
the
that
elite
dramatic.
Players are good longer.
That's what it comes down to. Yes.
Yep.
Equilibrium is awesome. It is very fun. I laugh a lot. I'm just saying. It's hard to take a movie trying to straight face take Gun Carter seriously. As long as you don't try and straight face it, it's a lot of fun.
I first saw American Psycho and thought it was the worst piece of garbage I ever saw. And
me too.
I stopped and I thought, I'm like, holy fuck, I took this seriously, and that is not what you're supposed to do. This movie's amazing. It's really when you realize the movie is a satire on 80s business
the culture itself. Yeah, I watched a review of it that explained why I'm a dummy for not thinking it's great, and I was like, oh, okay. But that's a lot of. I just realized I don't some forms of art I don't require that of, and so it does what I want, or I don't like it, and I'm fine with not being artistically sophisticated with movies and TV shows. I want certain things that's mostly to be entertained, and some things don't entertain me. That's fine.
That's absolutely.
In my opinion, Kenneth Walker or ETN.
I think it's ETN for me, but just
I think it's
barely.
ETN. Ooh, yeah, very close though. Yeah, same thing. Zach's songs are fire. That is true statement we said tonight. The rest is basically lies compared to that. So nice. Equilibrium, Danny. Wow, we're really far behind. I'm starting to realize Danny Efron's best score.
But we got to wrap it by midnight because Akash says he'll donate if we do. So we're going to one-word answers now.
We just got to catch up.
Okay. 4th and 1, 102 trade down scenarios. How far would you move down? What players would you target as a 1-for-1 trade for the 102? For the 102, pretty high, right?
I mean, man, you guys got to give us leads settings.
Yeah,
that's what slows us down. It's all your fault. No, not really.
If it's a super flex, how far would you move down? Maybe to 104?
Yeah, I'm not going below 104 if I want to stay in this draft.
Right.
In this draft, I want one of those top 3 picks, honestly. Top 3, 4 picks. If it's
You're just listening to my song. 103. It's
or
a
I want
magic number.
5. I want 5 between the 105 and the 205. That's the way I want to play this draft. Either one of those or a lot of those. Hey,
Paul is in the chat now, by the way.
Paul. Gavin Grant, timeout? No. Mayday, 12-team Superflex, 0.75 tight end premium. AJ Brown, Diggs, Ayuk, got it.
Diggs, Ayuk,
got it.
Yep.
Take away one from that side, and it's still.
Yeah.
This
is a good time to trade for players. Draft season's upon us. Players
It was the same answer 2 minutes later.
Yep. Gavin Grant, can you evaluate Carter's range of outcomes? Michael Carter, I'm assuming. I want to take the 111 and 23
Yeah, we told you to take
Davis
this already.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, Michael Carter's range of
so.
outcome is like running back 30 to like running back 18.
It's probably
he's what you think of when I say a top 24 running back. It's not like one of those guys who's a top 24 running back but has high upside on week to weeks. Like, he's going to get volume. He's a pretty decent player. He's not Austin Eckler in the skill set that he needs to be to really elevate that value through the receiving game, and he's definitely never going to be a Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook type. Like, he's a guy you plug in as your running back too, and it never wins you a week, but he'll get a touchdown sometimes. That's what I think he is. He's good. He's better at football than I will ever be at anything. After you say something kind of mediocre about an NFL player, it feels like I always have to say that. Tim Shady, how do I avoid the next Tutu Atwell? Tim? I appreciate that, Bern. I do. There's never been a Tutu Atwell before, and so I think you're good. There's probably not going to be one after. He was a really unique profile, which is even I was lukewarm on being high on him. Like, he was really, really radically outside the range of what typically plays in the NFL, which is why I was fine adding him where his ADP was at, because he was productive at college, and who knows? But, I mean, it's a really rare profile. I don't think you need to put work into avoiding it, although I appreciate that wasn't a serious question. Where would you put Zach Wilson and Davis Mills compared to the rookie QBs? I would put Davis Mills over Zach Wilson for a start. And everything after Malik Willis, because I don't know about them.
Yeah,
that's right.
So it's for me, Malik Willis just because of the upside, and then Mills and Wilson are pretty close together above the rest of everybody, because I know they're going to be starting quarterbacks, which I don't know about the rest of this class.
We will by tomorrow, I guess.
Maybe. We'll know they're drafted.
I have to.
If they're drafted top of the first round, we might have more hope for it.
I am going
to the whole Zach Wilson argument.
Submitting Dynasty Wall Street either tonight or tomorrow, and we talk about Zach Wilson, and I ask that question, where would you slot him in? And I ask Kane, because Kane's the guy that knows the most about Devy people and incoming rookies, and he says QB3 for Zach Wilson.
I think that's fair. That's fine. I wouldn't argue about it too hard. We're back up to 50. 51! We ticked over 50. The world is about to explode. Zach Cooper. He's talking to someone else. I can move on. Joe Herbert, 2022 class motto. Yeah, basically. What up from Joshua? Appreciate that. K-Mac, right now, Del McGuire Mezcal is my 101. Is this a baseball thing again? Damn it!
No, that is an alcohol. We're feeling good about it, though.
I love that Zach is the one that knew that.
You're welcome.
Hit the like button. Thank you, Open 24 Hours. He's doing more networking for this than we are at this point. I appreciate it. I don't think networking was the right word. Sean, had to trade Burrow to get my first Chase share. Yeah, I think that's fine. And Herbert Kyler, so I was okay overpaying for the third team.
That's a hell of
I like that move. Having an extra quarterback, that's the value of it for me, that you can afford to give one up for one of those top tier players. I like it.
It's impressive to be able to get those three quarterbacks, though.
John Hogue has argued against it on 2 successive shows, though, because Russ wasn't here. So I had to fill the hole with John Hogue, who's awesome. I love him, but I hate him. Open 24 hours. Wasn't complaining. Was answering the chat. We're here 24/7. Yeah, we know. You good? Appreciate it, man. Hey, Josh, that was a joke. Says someone called Tacit Assassin 13. We'll be there in half an hour. Not too wrong on the estimate there. Joe Herbert, 24 hours,
See,
not in a row.
Stephen
Right. Yeah. Cash, if you all read this before midnight, then I'll donate.
18 minutes.
Give us that $1. We're going to
What
buy
time did he
ourselves
say
a-
it? What time did he say that? How far back are we?
11:29. Because I was actually in the chat when he said that, and so I was like, advanced scout. It was great.
Sleeper cell right there.
That's right. The Tacit Assassin.
Mooney
Fair.
and Jacobs or Barclay and A-Rob?
Barclay and A-Rob.
Yeah, Barclay. Yeah. I mean, that's actually a pretty good trade. I like Mooney a lot. He's actually somewhat undervalued, but his upside muted. Jacobs, same thing, top 12 upside. But that's Saquon frickin' Barkley. And
Allen frickin' Robinson on the frickin'
Yeah,
Rams.
you can't say it's you can't.
Yes, I can.
Well, you physically can. I just don't know you morally should.
That's always a different question.
It's just but why not? Predictions. I guess I'm meant to answer that question. Predictions on the first wave of first wide receiver drafted.
No idea.
Wide receiver, running back, and quarterback drafted this year. Honestly, Malik Willis seems to be the easy answer at quarterback. Running back, I think it's going to be Breece Hall. Pretty confident on that. Wide receiver is a little more uncertain. I don't think it's going to be Treylon Burks, so there's just two more.
Because it's not usually for the same reason that we would want to draft them anyway. Like, John Ross, Will Fuller, like those guys go first. Henry Ruggs, like those guys go first.
I mean, this year, I guess a popular answer is going to be Drake London, funnily enough. But I kind of think throughout the course of the season, we convince ourselves of different things. But Garrett Wilson started out really high. There's been no reason to move on from him. I think he's a really competent player with a decent skill set that's going to excite a lot on NFL. I really think it could be Garrett Wilson still.
The player I'm most curious about where they go, and I know that wasn't the question, but I'm going to reframe it because I'm more.
You're going to make a better question.
Is Jameson Williams, because
it's a good one. He's fast.
Tremendous production in his last year. Very fast.
From Alabama.
Plus the injury. And so I'm interested to see how all of that jives with the NFL.
Nice. Yeah, good one. BJ Lee, everybody leaves a like. These guys deserve it. I appreciate that, BJ, because we will never remember to say it. A cash for.
Yeah, better order the pizza now. We will be there in half an hour. Peter will bring a broom. Russ has got a tremendous vacuum. We'll have the place cleaned up in no time.
I'm great at that 5-minute clearer before someone important comes over to the house. Like, that's my jam.
No, don't open that closet.
Paul Cicero, you'll never get Lamar. I respect the energy coming off this man. I like it. Open 24 hours. Pay the man his money.
Don't splash the pot, though.
Eric, thanks for nothing, guys. But seriously, great as always. Ravens are my team, hence the Lamar love. Look, sorry, Eric, we didn't help you out at all. Give him 2 first-round picks. Why not?
That could be all right, though. If Lance hits, yeah, you'd be all right.
Yeah, maybe trade Lance. That's probably a move. That's still my move. Hey, I cash said $1. Cute. Yeah, seriously, don't send money. You good? I cash, unless it's like a lot. We could take a lot. No, not even that. Chris, 12-team Superflex, 1.5 tight end premium. Metcalf or the 105? Gerald Everett and the 305. Metcalf or the 105?
Yeah, Metcalf.
Yeah. Paul is in here.
Peter, what do you mean if he donates a lot? You don't even know where the money goes.
No, I actually think it turns up for me. I noticed $1 or $3. I was like, where's that from? And it said something that looked like Twitter. I meant to investigate that, but I think we've made a total of $12. So I'll buy you guys lunch when we see each other. But I was going to do that anyway, to be honest. So it's fine. But yeah, if we ever actually get money,
you just have to be at lunch. You don't have to pay for lunch. Just be at lunch.
I think it depends because we're going through like 4 or 5 different streams here. If they're on my Twitch or my YouTube channel, it probably is going to filter through me. I think most people are watching us through the DLF channel, though.
So then Ryan is buying us lunch.
Yeah,
Ryan. Or Eric.
I only have Dobbins and Najee Harris at running back. What do you mean only? Eric, look at me. That's good.
You are richer than Peter and I will ever be.
Seriously. Who do I draft at the 6'10"? Hit him with it, Russ.
Draft for talent, trade for need. Paul is not an ass. He's just very strong-willed.
No, I'm going to go with Eric here.
Respect
Paul
that.
is an ass, but in a good way. Like, go for it.
Stop
Paul.
trying
You
to
be
find
an
people like you, Peter. It's never
You'll
going to
never get Lamar Jackson. I like that energy, but it's definitely jerk energy. I recognize it. It's good energy. It's like, no, it's mine.
Draft the best person that's on the board at the time, or trade half of those away.
And yeah, that's like one of the fundamental I personally subscribe to. Like, just don't let need bother you. That's why the QB is still 1 in Superflex and 12-man for me, at least. It's just, it sucks because you want to go do your thing, but don't. I did send it. Love the laugh. That was a donation, not a chat.
Oh, DLF got $1.
Does it? It just looks like a comment. Normally they highlight them. Okay, well,
highlighted.
thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, you really didn't have to. I should stop saying that about money since we want this to pay somehow eventually. But I just keep talking to us. We're good. Where were we? Convince me, Brian. Convince me, Brian Robinson isn't just this year's Vaughn or Sermon. He could be
wait for draft
actually,
capital for someone to be.
but I think he's. Yeah, I think he's less respected. He's not going to be the end of the first round pick for a
So
start.
I didn't like either Vaughn or Sermon, and I do like Robinson. Not that that's going to convince you, Josh, but like Robinson is a top 5 running back in this class. He would have been higher in my rankings than either Vaughn or Sermon in their respective years. So again, it may not be convincing, but from my perspective, he's quite a bit better running back than either of those two. And I think he's a better pass catcher than people give him credit for. I could see him being, and I know we besmirched Chris Carson earlier in the show, but I could see him being that type of running back where he gets 200 carries and 30 or 40 catches, where he's a solid running back too.
Yeah, it's just not a fair comparison at the moment, because the reason Vaughn and Sermon was because they got drafted earlier than we thought they would to a team that was considered a good landing spot.
Yeah,
That's
I think
why
the
we're
real
valuing
difference
them.
here is both of those are elevated because of their landing spot. And
Yeah.
like we haven't done that with him yet. So, but let me check it out. I think production probably looks a little different. I've never checked him out before.
What, Robinson?
It's both. No, the thing about Sermon and who was the other guy?
I had Trey
neither
Sermon.
of the production profiles were good. They were like, okay, I'm fine.
See,
So they
Trey
were
Sermon down there, that's last year's running back class for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that one. Trey Sermon, I was never a fan of.
He's at the
I would say, yeah, that's the difference. Oh, their production looks pretty similar, actually, in terms of the peak of their production and rushing and just overall yards. The difference was both of those got pushed way up because of their landing spot. So
I have a friend who's
he
a
could be.
49ers fan, and last year he asked me if he should be excited about Trey Sermon. And I said, let me ask you this. Would you be excited about getting A.J. Dillon if A.J. Dillon was actually really bad? So he's like, I should not be excited. No, you should not be excited.
And the thing is, right now, I think that's where we're at with Robinson. It's like, he's fine. We're not excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, he could do work in the right spot.
Because the thing is, if he does get drafted in the beginning of the second round to a good landing spot, it's not going to be, he's going to be Vaughn. He's going to be Sermon. He's going to get too expensive, and no one who actually liked him is going to take him anymore.
right.
Last week, John was like, "Oh yeah, no, or was it on Twitter? John Hogue, who I keep throwing shade at because he's not here to defend himself. Not really. And he was talking about he would still value like Sermon and I guess Vaughn over these guys because we haven't seen them fail yet. When to me, the fact they've been in the league and not done much is the failure.
Both
That's-
of them
yeah.
fail already.
Yeah.
Especially
Just
Vaughn.
interesting. Traded Lance away in 2 different leagues. Good man, Adam. 12-team Superflex tight end premium. Lance for Barclay and the 112.
Not enough.
It was Barclay, but it's not enough. Lance plus a 111 for Waddle and a 23 first. That's
enough.
probably better, but it's
That one
not
I like
enough.
more.
You would expect a quarterback coming back. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what seems to be missing.
But I mean, I'm fine with not getting one back, but I want an even better price if I'm not getting one back.
Yeah.
Barclay in the 112 is really far off for me. The thing is, I get how no matter how you're feeling about Lance, he's a top 10 quarterback already. And that if you're trading him away, you have to get those prices. Otherwise, you might as well just hope he's a top 10 quarterback.
And to be clear, that's why I say trade Lance, is because I think you can get that value. But if you don't,
like Zach loves pointing out, that dude's legs are the ultimate safety net. 3 games he started were all around 20 points. And one of them, I'm not sure if he passed the ball more than 5 times. So, I love Barkley. I love Waddle. I love getting a 23 first, but
in a super flex league, you're looking at Trey Lance being the equivalent of like DeAndre Swift, Najee Harris. Like he's like the running back 2, running back 3 area, not Barkley, who's like running back 10
to 14 at this point.
Yeah. And the same thing with Waddle. Like Waddle's great, but you're still looking at
wide receiver 6 to 10, and it's a mess.
I mean, he probably even higher than that, but yeah.
See, that's what these trades are. I like the players you're getting, but you're not trading away Lance. You're going and getting these players, if you know what I mean. Right. You're giving up more value than you're getting back. So, yeah. Jacob Calloway, what are some of the biggest overreactions Dynasty players make post-draft? Landing spot every time. Like, that's why I hate it. Yeah. Biggest underreactions. Biggest underreactions might be, honestly, tight ends, specific draft position, the draft pick. It's the one position outside of quarterback, so one of the 2, where that actually has some significance, whether you're drafted in the top or the bottom half of a round, for example. It's interesting. What might be one of the least reacted to things. And the overreaction is just landing spot. It's always landing spot.
In both directions, just to put it out there. CEH and AJ Brown. I mean, it works in both ways.
And the other thing that we overreact to is, and this is a specific type of player because speed gets drafted highly in the NFL with wide receiver. And it gets drafted highly in the NFL with wide receiver because that allows teams to stretch the field, which opens up everything in underneath. So somebody like John Ross or somebody like even Marquise Brown was that way, but there have been a whole bunch of players that get drafted highly that we go out and say Henry Ruggs is still a top 4 dynasty, rookie pick, and John Ross is because they're fast, but they're doing things for the NFL that we don't score in fantasy. And so I think we overreact a little bit to that with the draft capital, but Peter's ultimately right with the biggest thing we do is just landing spot.
There are relevant variables. I mean, it's why it's easy to point to landing spots that will be difficult for running backs because the players on the roster matter. If you're going to go play behind Jonathan Taylor, well, good night. I mean, that's just a difficult spot. But then you get Derrick Henry, just like we pointed out earlier. It's kind of always better to bet against narratives or factors we weigh, which are so highly variable in both directions. Like that's gold for Dynasty, actually. Once you know that, all you need to know is that, and then you just bet against what the common trend is. That's selling hype. If it's all about, I believe I can predict this, it's why you don't buy your own projections in a trade. Then you're just like, I don't know. All you have to say is, all you have to do to kind of get it right more than 50% is just admit you don't know most of the time. And that's great. You don't even have to project something or build a model. It's just accept you don't know the future. Like that's the easiest thing to sell. In my opinion, I think I went off slightly the rails there, but there you go. Sean, I went total studs and duds. I have Herbert, Kyler, JT Chubb, Akers, Chase, Debo. So a lot of studs more than duds.
That's a lot of studs for studs and duds. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I normally end up with a couple more duds. But okay.
Studs and studs and studs.
Studs.
That's
and duds.
It's actually curious. Most people don't go with the studs and studs approach. Just throwing that one out.
Basically framed out like a 2,000 square foot house. It's just all studs everywhere. It's great.
No other players until late in the double-digit rounds. You're lucky to get that many from that. Anyway,
Start
12
10.
teams
1,
who played
2,
start.
3, 4,
But the thing
5,
is, it's
6, 7. Yeah, you're
good.
okay.
It's gonna, other people are going to get injuries as well, and you do still have people on your bench where hopefully you have the guys that will step up when other teams people get injured and you don't lose a starter, and like that's how zero RB works, sort of.
I would also say work the waiver wire early. That's the only thing I could add to this. Like, don't be scared to spend early. Every year we are, because what's gonna come around, and again, sell the mystery boat.
Yeah.
Just sell it. Mystery box. Sell the maybe boat.
Last year, work the waiver wire early was Elijah Mitchell. The year before that was
I got roasted
James
for that.
Robinson.
The
year before that was, and I forget, the year before that was Philip Lindsay. Like that's a thing. Like there's going to be somebody that nobody thought of that is going to be very good.
Honestly,
Darren Walder was there.
I honestly feel like
it didn't work out long term, but Terrell Pryor in like 2017-ish, 18-ish.
I really think Dynasty attracts people who are more cautious. So risk assessment, they want to manage their risk. And the more you get into it, the more you study and fail and lose, like myself, the more you figure out that the edge is being quicker than everyone else to adjust. And it sucks because we want to we don't know and there's uncertainty and it's just adjust quicker than everyone else. It's actually what's left, because I think our inclination, for some reason, those that are attracted for Dynasty, is to do the opposite, which means that's always where the empty calories are. Ronnie Rhodes, who are your next 3 running backs after Hall and Walker? That's a really good question, actually. We almost never get down that deep because
Spiller's there.
Let's see.
Brian Robinson is there for me, and then it's whether Kyron Williams gets drafted or Keontae Ingram gets drafted or Pierre Strong gets drafted. Like it's that range.
Rashad White, Zamir White, Brian Robinson, Damian Pierce, Keontae Ingram, James Cook, Kyron Williams, Pierre Strong. I'm just listing the order in which they were drafted in.
Much lower on Rashad White, but yes, say that area. But for me, it's Brian Robinson, it's Keontae Ingram, it's James Cook, Zamir White, Kyron Williams, like that area.
My running back ranks keep getting messed up. This is an aside, sorry, but every time I come back to look at them, honestly, they've moved around. So I'm going to have to go look at the raw copy here. Sorry. Take me a second. I got Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker, and then Rashad White, Kyron Williams, Kyler Batty, Brian Robinson, Pierre Strong, and Brian Kobach, who can't be right because I don't have notes on him. I don't know why these are messing up. Sincere McCormick, and that's pretty much where it ends. You just enter a tier of other players that you may have heard of.
I drafted a guy named Master Teague because his name was Master Teague. He was in the 5th. It made me happy.
He was at one point slated to be one of the studs, and I think he suffered an injury and then was never the same.
But his name is Master Teague.
Yeah.
Keontae Ingram is the next guy that I really have to look into because he's ranked right after them. I don't know if I have to bump him up yet. I haven't done a lot of my work, it turns
out. It's overrated.
Let's see. I think Max Borgi is an interesting guy as well. Receiving upside.
Isn't it next year?
Huh? No, he's like a 7th year senior at Washington. Like everyone said he was going to be Christian McCaffrey 5 years ago, and he still is not.
He had an 86 catch season. I just think that's
he did, but he had an 86 catch season after.
I know.
Who was it? James. I don't even remember what his last name is, but had a 85 catch season. Like that was just a function of Washington State's offense. It wasn't. Again, like I wanted him to be that guy. I watched him and I'm just like, he's not that guy.
I just loved hearing Kane say the name Max Borgi for some reason. It made me giggle just to hear him say when he ever said that name.
Weeds is talking to a cache, so I get to skip that. Just if you put the ad up front and just That's the only time-saving measure I've implemented. Paul Cicero. Hey, Paul. I like it. Eric, we had a deal for Higgins, then you changed your mind because Mariota got a starting job. What? I'm still fuming. So no Lamar. Not now. Not ever. League infighting is fun. As long as you're both doing it peacefully and, on the same page that you're just having fun. I think that's awesome. Wesley. Traded Javonte today for the 2022 102. A lot of twos in that sentence. And an early 23 first. Thoughts? I'm in a 12-man Superflex tight end premium. So Javonte for two first. One of them really early this year. I'm not projecting the 23 first. It's just mid until it's...
Yeah, it's a random first.
Random first. I like it. 102. It's pretty high.
I'd take the two first, I think.
Yeah.
As much as I like Javonte Williams and as a player, I think you're better off with the firsts.
It doesn't feel right, but I think you're right.
It's because we've got the... It's because the first this year it's got a number on it. 102. If that was 103, 4... Around the 104 is where I'd stop. Like, that's not enough. But in a Superflex, that could be Breece Hall. I think you're good. Jerome Ford. Or Keontae Ingram. Kind of same tier. No, actually, I'm higher on... I've got Keontae Ingram in tier 5 and Jerome Ford in tier 6. So
yeah,
Keontae.
I have Ingram a bit above Ford.
Kovac is from Toledo. It's good to know. Hey, look over here, says Tacit Assassin 13. I got more questions. I go look at all these. Adam, thanks for the feedback. FYI, you may want a tight end premium, the DTC trade calculator, when you trade a quarterback for a non-superflex. Both of my Lance deals were significant wins on DLF trade calculator.
Because it's more anecdotal than it is pure value. It's a feel thing. It's not like, I don't know if that's something that belongs in the idea of a calculator. The calculator doesn't have feel involved. Like that's the opposite of a calculator.
10 team 1 QB just got the offer. Give Judy in the for the 107 and a 303 and a 24. No,
I'd rather have Judy.
No. Judy.
It's not there. Oh, 10 team 1 quarterback. Yeah, give me Judy. If that was a 12 team super flex, I'd say give me the picks.
Imagine what you could have got for Javonte before yesterday, though. I really don't think anyone's factoring in Melvin. No one was. Everyone's already given him the job last year.
Nobody was talking about Melgo.
Everyone was just like, why is this other guy on the field just mad at Denver? Why is this other player out all last year? They definitely weren't waiting it because he hadn't signed yet. DLF trade. I think we got it. Joe Herbert, thanks, guys. Have a good one. Yeah, appreciate that. I just taking all the spontaneity out of it. I got to get ready. I got to find the damn thing. I got to say thank you, everyone, for listening. You can check us out after the draft. Good luck. Have a good draft day. We got to do the whole thing. And